listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. Good show lined up for you. Jim Larranaga, Miami Hurricanes men's basketball coach. They play the late game tonight. I mean, when they're saying now, before the early games start, that it's a 10 o'clock tip, I mean, that's when you know it's a 10:20 tip. Because these suckers, this schedule does not run on time. As those of you who stayed awake and watched the late games know. And Pat Kirwan to join us as well, talking plenty of NFL in his normal 8 o'clock destination. Top of the morning to you. You've got bags under your eyes.
Running on adrenaline this morning, not a lot of sleep, watched a lot of basketball, watched a little soccer last night, was up for the duration.
Hold on a second. You found the CBS Sports Network?
221 on your dial on DirecTV, David.
It's in the 390s on Comcast.
I didn't know that until yesterday because I had to memorize it. I was, working the two TVs. And I turned it on in the last 20 minutes and found myself
riveted.
Pretty much.
U.S. trying to get their first ever World Cup qualifying win at Azteca in Mexico City. The altitude, their arch rival.
I will say that game, the last 20 minutes was officiated like a Big Ten basketball game. That's all I know is that they were able to do pretty much anything they want. And they were not going to call a whole hell of a lot in that game. But the basketball was good.
Yeah, it was.
It was good. I don't know if I'd give it great, but it was definitely good. It was a B.
I mean, the headliner was Duke. Was it going to be Coach K's last game? Turned out the answer was no, and it was a good game.
Best of the four, I think, at least.
And CBS is doing the happy dance because Coach K is in a region final.
And the Zags got knocked out. They'll be favored in the region final, I would think.
They will against the no-respect Razorbacks.
Which is probably exactly what Arkansas will want.
And I got to say, I thought it was a bit of a throwback night. First off, the 75-year-old coaching legend able to win another close one and get to the Elite Eight at the very least. And who knows, maybe he gets to go to a Final Four where, John Wooden went out with a championship. Al McGuire went out with a championship. Dean Smith, I believe, went out by going to the Final Four, didn't tell anybody at the time and just retired a few months later. So, maybe Coach K can go out at the Final Four, which I think would be fitting. But there are those of us of a certain age that remember Arkansas under Nolan Richardson and their motto of 40 minutes of hell. And I thought last night, because it wasn't pretty, but I thought last night was a throwback night for Arkansas basketball. You and I have talked over the years, if you are a fan of a certain team, there are many different styles of play, no matter if it's football, basketball, hockey, whatever it could be. But there is one style of play that their fan base, honestly, if you said to them, you're going to win, I'm guaranteeing you're going to win. Now, what style of play would you want to see? That every fan, like the Bears would want to win with defense.
Right.
Dolphins fans would like to win like Marina. They would prefer to throw it all over the lot and score a bunch of points and be exciting, even though they won their Super Bowls with the no-name defense and running.
Well, and Gator fan would rather do it Spurrier style than Urban style. Both
totally.
Unbelievable successful.
Right.
But the Spurrier style is the one that has encapsulated Gator fan then and still now.
Fun and gun.
Yep.
Absolutely. And an Arkansas basketball fan, if given their druthers, because Sidney Moncrief, took them to the Final Four in the late 70s and the whole deal, but 40 minutes of hell. If we could win playing that style of ball, that would be great. And I thought last night there was a little bit of that tough Arkansas. We are going to be in your grill and you are going to be very uncomfortable for the next 2 hours.
I just remember that 40 minutes of hell, them scoring a hell of a lot more, though.
They did.
Because they were in a hurry all the time.
Yes.
That was the only difference. But defensively, They played tough, and they out-toughed Gonzaga
Yes,
yesterday.
I thought they punked them.
Bottom line is they flat out-toughed them.
Thought they punked them. I really did. Thought they went right after both of their big guys. All right, Timmy and Holmgren right away and said, all night, gentlemen, all night. Get used to this all night. And
they didn't perform.
And I thought Houston did the same to Arizona also.
Nova did the same thing to Michigan from a defensive standpoint. You know, Michigan was bigger, taller, but Villanova just mauls you defensively with a collection of players. It's not any one player that does it. It is a collection of bodies in the paint that maul you. And they did last night.
You know, you think Villanova, you know, they're teams that won the couple national championships here. You know, they were pretty teams.
Yes, they were.
I mean, they really were. They had a beautiful flow to them. Okay, 4 or 5 guys touched the ball every possession. They were fun to watch. That Villanova North Carolina championship game were 2 beautiful teams to watch. I mean, they really were. But and I know he doesn't wear the suit anymore because post-pandemic, none of the coaches get dressed up anymore. But, you know, you used to think of Villanova and Jay Wright, and they play the way their coach looked. Well, now, quite frankly, they play their way their coach looks again because he's dressed down and the team has gotten tougher.
And they were the tougher team last night against Michigan. In fact, that was a theme last night, really. It was some old school. It looked a lot like a Big Ten conference championship, the way it wasn't the most aesthetically pleasing basketball.
Believe it or not, I never would have thought this. I thought the Duke-Texas Tech game was the most aesthetically pleasing game of the night, which is amazing to say when Texas Tech is involved.
I don't know how that's a true statement, but it is a true statement, David, because it was the best flow. I
mean, I figured Gonzaga, Arkansas was going to be the free-flowing 90-80 game last night.
Well, it would help if Gonzaga could make a shot.
Well, listen, JD Note didn't make many either for Arkansas, despite scoring 21 points. He missed almost as many shots as he scored points.
But Arkansas, clearly the tougher team. Nova, clearly the tougher team. Houston, clearly the tougher team. And in the second half, Duke was the tougher team.
Well, they made shots. I mean, Texas Tech said, listen, you're going to have to shoot over 50% to beat us. And Duke went, okay, we can do that. And they shot, I think, like 52% for the game. I mean, give them credit. They made shots. You know, you and I are golf fans. At the end of the day, what do you have to do? You got to make putts.
And Duke did. They answered the call late. Good game. Good win for Duke.
Think about their last 2 wins, by the way. Down the stretch, last 5 minutes, you know, trailing Michigan State, right there with Texas Tech, well, making the plays in the tournament. That builds a lot of confidence.
It does. When you have the best player on the court, you should be able to make a few plays.
It does help. It does help.
At the end of the day.
Listen, I mean, I know an NCAA tournament's a small sample size and the whole deal, but this whole, you know, who's going to go number 1, I don't know how you take the Gonzaga kid over the Duke kid. I don't know
how.
I'm an idiot, but I don't know how you do it. And I know the college game is different from the pro game and this and the other. I mean, Draymond Green couldn't score 10 points in college, you know, but.
Well, Izzo plays good D.
Right. Well, he plays the Dean Smith D. All right. He really does. I mean, nobody can bottle up a good score on his own team quite like Tom Izzo. But, man, I don't know how you take Holmgren over, you know.
Paulo Banchero.
There you go. Thank you.
I don't either.
That'd be my vote in the back of the room when we're drafting. Who are we taking? The Duke kid.
Was it Regan or was it someone? I thought it was Bobby Regan that basically said before the season started that was going to be the first overall pick.
Yeah. On our show, he did.
On our show. That's
right.
what I'm saying. We had, before we had a little college basketball preview, and he said, this guy's going to be the number 1 overall pick. I'm just telling you right now.
As Ryan says in our Twitch chat room, and Michigan just missed another layup. It's funny. It's funny how things go if you make your layups. They used to say that about women's basketball. Make your layups. You know what? That goes for the tournament as well.
I think that NBA teams just want to find their next Giannis. And the thing about Chet is that he's as long and as tall. Well, he's taller and longer than Giannis. And he's got skill, but Russell Westbrook would shove him aside.
He's soft.
He's soft.
There was a great tweet this morning about Gonzaga basketball in which they said Mark Few needs to recruit a few more kids who don't have a ride waiting for them to come home after practice.
They're not tough enough. And they get exposed in this tournament.
Doug Gottlieb's been saying for a while also, Mark, that they're not athletic enough. Now, I thought last year they were because they had the point guard who went, to the Magic, and he was an elite player. But I think there's something to that when you get to the end of the tournament, Gonzaga's players, they play great basketball as a team and what have you, but if you can spread them out and play a little one-on-one, like last year in the semis against UCLA, that's all UCLA did. They basically said, we can find a matchup every time down in which we got a guy better than their guy. We just have to spread them out, take our time, find that matchup, give them the ball. But it was a fun night of hoop.
It was a really fun night of hoop.
Basketball needs to bring back suit and ties with the coaches. I mean, what's going on here?
That could almost be a poll question. I don't know if enough people care, though, but.
Should coaches be wearing suit and ties again?
I find it funny that you, of all people, are advocating for coaches to wear suits.
No. I just said it'd be a good poll question.
I understand that. How would you vote?
I'm a weird guy with that because I've gone through huge valleys with that. Like when I was in high school, I dressed well every day. Went to college, not so much. Then
there's now.
Then I had a broadcasting career in which I wore shirts and ties for the longest time and looked good. Then I just only looked good from the belly button up. Now I don't look good from head to toe. So
you wear the coat once a year, right? Thanksgiving game or playoffs? When do you guys wear the jackets?
Yeah, Thanksgiving.
So now that's off too.
Right. I'm not working hard now. I have no idea what my wife and family are going to do. They may see me on Thanksgiving and Christmas. That hasn't happened in forever.
Miller and Moulton, not wanting to spend Christmas with you, but willing to spend the rest of the Friday morning with you at the very least.
In a shirt and tie. Miller and Moulton on the Dressed Up Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
because teams don't typically win ever after playing here
In Mexico City.
at that
The
Azteca.
altitude.
Yeah. And I mean, they weren't just going. I read an article on The Athletic about it. They weren't just going with U.S. national teams. They're talking about all these national teams, all these, even in the, not CONCACAF, but whatever our Champions League is,
Okay.
where the
Right.
MLS is playing
Right.
the Mexican League and all that. Even like when the Red
Right.
Bull goes and plays there, their next game, whoever plays there is the normal team. It's like, okay, it was pretty fascinating.
Well, the other thing is the U.S. lost 2 starters because of yellow cards last night who won't play Sunday because of accumulation of yellow cards. And apparently there's one position, right back where like we're down to like our 3rd string guy now. One guy's out injured and the other guy's out because of yellow cards.
It was interesting late in the game how little control they had. That was the only thing that surprised me.
Juancho, you talking about USA Mexico? I only saw like 10 minutes of it. Mark saw the last 20. What I read was the U.S. had the edge in play. Mark said in the last 20 minutes, Mexico had the edge.
Were those last 2 foul calls on Chet Holmgren bullshit? Because it goes back to what we talked about the other day about how you can go straight up, but regardless of like if contact is made, they'll still call a foul, despite going straight up. Because both times he went straight up.
Yeah, I know. Well, I think it's bullshit.
I think
to
it's
go
bullshit
straight up.
too. Oh,
To
Yeah.
go straight up? Oh, I think it's
You
bullshit.
leave your feet, it's foul.
I think it's bullshit. And I understand that it's the rule that they give you from floor until the roof if you go straight up. I get it. But if you think about it and you're the offensive player and the guy's on the ground and you go up and then all of a sudden he goes up and makes contact with you,
but what I was thinking was he's so damn tall, and he knows that he's in foul trouble. Just plant your feet and put your hands up.
I agree
You
with
would
that.
do the same amount of damage.
My biggest question to soccer guy, because I don't care about the straight up thing anymore. We've had this conversation for 3 days.
Yes.
Juancho, help me out here, because I saw in the last. Why do soccer teams it's a tie game? Let's just give it back to the goalkeeper. Let him kick it 60 yards down the field and give the ball back to the other team.
Is this police? Oh. Boom.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
This was not offside. They called that offsides. I don't know how that's called.
Oh, God, it was a bunny, too.
Oh, yeah. They called it. That was a dive. Gave me yellow. He did dive.
And see, and this is another thing. You don't make contact with a referee. I'm sorry.
NHL playoffs starts pretty soon.
Doesn't it start right around the same time as the NBA?
2 weeks before the NBA.
Yeah, I always thought it was like just a couple of weeks before the NBA. Maybe 1 or 2. But hell. Might catch me some playoff hockey. Coming back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us on what will be, to some degree, a Football Friday.
Football Friday?
Well, Pat Kirwan joined us in our 8 o'clock hour. We'll replay an interview that we conducted during our bonus hour yesterday, and we understand that 3 of our 4 affiliates do not get, or do not take, I should say, our 9 o'clock hour. Only our Southwest Florida affiliate does. And so we had the opportunity to talk with Miami men's coach Jim Larranaga during that hour yesterday. We understand most of our audience did not hear it. We will replay that interview, a little 11, 12-minute conversation. We will do so at the top of the next hour.
We have a poll question up already. That's 2 days in a row.
Man.
We've had a poll question up before the show starts.
What's going on?
I've been hassling you, is really what's been going on.
I know. You're asking me before the show. Hey, we got to get this poll question.
Because David and Felipe like to have conversations about everything not to do with this show.
Right.
From 5:30 to 6 o'clock.
Right.
I get in here. I like to get work done.
Right. Because when you think the 3 of us, you know what? You think you're the grinder. You're the one who's coming in the morning going, hey, let's get all together here.
Exactly what I was thinking. Almost the exact words I was going to use, David. So I appreciate you being on the same page with me with that. But yesterday we got a poll question up before the show.
Right. Dolphins related. But
Yes.
that was easy. I mean, the Tyreek Hill thing happened, after we were done on Wednesday. So, I mean, that was easy.
I got you.
What was the results, by the way?
Playoffs end up getting just under 50% of the vote. That was the winner, 49.5%.
Our question, Dolphins acquired Tyreek Hill from an expectation standpoint. Now, what are your expectations of the Dolphins, Super Bowl contender, playoff team, same old Dolphins?
Under 5% say Super Bowl contender.
Huh.
49.5% said playoffs, and nearly 46% said same old Dolphins.
Wow. I am surprised. I am. And I understand everybody who doesn't vote. In fact, I'm guessing the majority of the people that voted were not Doll fans. But just, most of us are NFL fans. And so you can judge a team from afar and take a look at their deals and what have you. And I just find that interesting that the team that had missed the playoffs the last 2 years, but had done so with a winning record, 10-6 and 9-8. And then they add Tyreek Hill to their other offseason acquisitions. And how much of this do you think is an indictment of the helmet? That the history of the franchise recently, last 20 years, this century, basically. And how much of it do you think is an indictment of Tua?
Great question. Spectacular question. It's certainly a combination of both. I do think that the history of the Dolphins outweighs the Tua part. I think people think Tua is going to stink because he's a Dolphin, not because he's Tua, if you know what I mean.
Right now they've got an image problem.
Right. Like if all of a sudden Tua got traded to the Steelers, you'd hear people go, he's really going to be a great quarterback one day. But he's playing for the Miami Dolphins, and that jades people's thoughts of any player that plays there. But they have had not a good, but a great offseason. You don't win in the offseason, but they put themselves in one hell of a position. So I do think it's a combination of the two, the history being a little bit more pronounced than Tua.
Mark, I don't know if you're aware, but I'm going to be doing a lot of Monday Night Football research now going forward.
And the Dolphins played a lot on Monday Night Football.
And yet there is an entire generation, at the very least, of NFL fan that has no idea that many a trivia answer is the Miami Dolphins when it comes to Monday Night Football. Most games played on Monday night, most wins, and what have you. And they're like, what are you talking about? Dolphins haven't been good in like 20 years. Yeah, I know, but the 30 years before that, they had this guy Shula as coach, and they won a lot, and they were entertaining in doing so, And so they played a lot on Monday night.
A lot. Kind of like the guy that's part of our poll question today, Coach K. He's on TV a lot.
Yes. And that's just the commercials.
So are you rooting for Coach K to make it to the Final Four? That's our question. It's a yes or no question. I think everybody knows what my answer was.
Even now. Yeah, and I don't look at me like that, even now, because you could go into the tournament going, man, I want Duke to lose. You could go into last night going, man,
I want Arkansas to beat them by 60.
Okay. Just, sometimes.
Woo pig suey.
By the way, might be my favorite moment in the history of ESPN. Of all the sport, no, it's my second favorite moment. My favorite moment was way back in the early days of ESPN when getting satellite time to broadcast live sports was a very challenging thing. ESPN was big into the Davis Cup, and the U.S. was playing Argentina, McEnroe against Vilas in the deciding singles match on Sunday. And they show most of the first set, and McEnroe's like serving for the set. And then they say, listen, hate to do this. We have to break away from this match for the next 90 minutes because the Pope is giving a speech and they've taken our satellite. Okay, I kid you not. And they came back 90 minutes later. Vila won the first set, won the second, and was damn near serving for the match. I'm like, what? That was a hell of a speech that the Pope gave. That's my favorite all-time ESPN moment. But my second all-time moment may be when Bobby Petrino bolted the Falcons darn near like the Colts bolted Baltimore in Mayflower vans, and he bolts the Falcons, leaves notes on the players' chairs in the locker room, and that night is in Fayetteville, and they've got him with a hot on doing the Woo Pig Suey chant. Live ESPN, 3 minutes of Woo Pig Suey, and I didn't know who looked more uncomfortable, Bobby Petrino or the two anchors they threw it back to in Bristol.
I will say it does give the Brian Kelly speech some credence at LSU. When he invented his new Southern accent.
Right.
And then claimed that I'm from Boston. We don't know much about accents.
It's a good follow-up line.
It really was.
But so Woo Pig Suey by 60. Is that it?
Yes.
Will you come out Monday? Will you do the Woo Pig Suey if they win?
Of course.
We know a couple of Razorback fans. We could probably get them on the show to do it with you.
I'll be more than happy. Dana, just be ready.
All right. Well, I got to admit, now I'm rooting for the story. I picked them losing to Texas Tech. Not just last night, but when the brackets, we filled them out, I thought they'd lose to Texas Tech.
And I had them losing the game to Gonzaga, which they're not going to play now.
No.
They're going to play Arkansas.
I like their chances in that game. I really do. I have a feeling Gonzaga won't show.
No, they're not going to have a whole lot of defense for Duke at all in that game.
No, the bus is not going to make it to the arena, I think. But so, all right. I like the question. Are you rooting now for the story? Wooden went out in the title game. Al McGuire went out winning the title game. We didn't know it at the time, but Dean Smith's final game was in the Final Four.
Early voting. Anti-Coach K, not surprised in the snarky baseball hour, David. I think as the younger folks wake up, that vote will flip.
Eric Musselman very quietly has taken Arkansas to back-to-back Elite Eights. That hadn't happened since 40 Minutes of Hell, Nolan Richardson, when they went to back-to-back title games in 94 and 95. He can coach a little bit, Not only take Nevada to the Sweet 16, he was an NBA head coach for two different teams. I mean, he's a real coach.
Miller and Moulton, trying to be a real radio show. Jim Larranaga coming up at 7 a.m. right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled, marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Finally went. Chuck, how'd you score all your points? What did Chuck goes? Chuck goes, I was special, though. He said something to that. It was.
Well, he's not wrong.
Are there any notable NBA players on those good Razorback teams in the 90s?
Corliss Williamson. Scotty Thurman was just I don't know if he did much in the NBA. Was Todd Day on those teams? But their best player was Corliss Williamson.
Gotcha.
Would I trade Tua for Trey Lance?
No.
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't.
Because then I think you're throwing away this year. And I don't think the Dolphins can afford to throw away this year. Now, if I was convinced Trey Lance was a top 10 quarterback in the NFL soon, sure.
I mean, the fact that we've put ourselves in a situation, the Dolphins have put themselves in a situation where there's no longer an excuse for Tua is actually a really good thing.
Totally.
Because he might have a really good season.
He played a lot better once the trade deadline came and went.
Yeah. We might be in for,
Wednesday, UM and FGCU baseball?
Ooh,
Well, they usually play 3 times a year. They usually play once here, twice there.
Paul, is that in the fort?
How do I have a 6:30 alarm on?
I don't know. You must have been exhausted when you said it.
No, I
or did you read?
I must, when I turned the one off, I must have somehow hit the button because I got up before I went to bed at 12:10 and woke up 15 minutes before the alarm.
Wow.
4:25. What's your wake up time?
4:23 a.m. when I don't do that. When I do this before I go to bed. When I don't do this, I get up at 3:13 a.m. So I give myself an hour and 10 minutes. I give myself 10 minutes to kind of wake up, read a few things, and then this usually takes an hour.
Both sides, you saying?
Yeah. Usually it's like 30 to 40 to sports, and this takes 20 to 25. Yeah, Kyler wants a new contract, Adam. And the Cardinals are like, yeah, we got you under contract for 2 more years, and we'll see.
Talked to Casio yesterday for a while. God, he was making me laugh.
He can be funny.
Only when he's snarky.
Yep. Well, you know.
But I was going through, now that he's behind the gates, I was going through the problems. I mean, are you on the next door and on the Facebook page? He goes, I'm not, Andrea, as we were going through all the problems in the neighborhood, about the garbage not getting put in. And
Wow.
John's starting to learn the HOA things. Oh, God, we could do an HOA podcast that I think would just be hysterical.
Can invite Warner on once a month.
Yep. Do you know that basketball guy at all? The guy that got us the guest? Have you met him?
I've never met him. He just did it again last week.
I know.
Apparently killed it.
Spending most of the time talking about.
Apparently he killed. I will say, I mean, he gets decent guys. You only need a certain, if you get like 100 people to.
You get 100 people and you do the VIP.
Mm-hmm.
The way John described what he's doing on the political thing, I think it could be done monthly on the sports thing.
15 seconds.
Well, I think it could be. I think the business model would be to do both. To do, like one a month. I don't know.
Right,
if you
one
do
every other
round.
week. For 6 months.
Coming back.
November through May.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour, top of the morning to you. Hope you've had a good week, and thanks for spending part of it with us here on the Florida Sports Network. Jim Larranaga, a conversation we had during our bonus hour yesterday, and we understand that those of you listening from Port Charlotte all the way up to Lake City don't take our bonus hour. Maybe you listen to it afterwards, millerandmoulton.com, floridasportsnetwork.com, and podcasts and what have you. But so we replay the interview that we did during our 9 o'clock hour yesterday with Jim Larranaga. We will do that coming up at the top of the hour. We called him in his hotel room in Chicago. Canes and Iowa State, either a 10 or an 11, will be in the lead 8 on Sunday. Right now it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Well, Duke did it again. Trailing at the half, trailing in the second half, heading down the stretch, made adjustments. Coach K went to a zone. It worked. He said afterwards, I felt like the fighter who just needed to buy some time along the ropes. That's why we went to the zone. I thought they were beating us up inside. They settled down and then went back to man down the stretch, got the stops, enough of them anyway, beat Texas Tech 78-73.
Isn't the way to beat a 2-3 zone still just to get the ball to the free throw line?
If you can do it.
They couldn't.
No.
It amazes me, and I'm not trying to be a smart aleck here, but it amazes me in the world of basketball that we're in, that everybody runs man. The minute a team switches to zone, nobody knows how. Nobody has remembered the same offense that's been running for 40 years to beat it. Get the ball to the high post. Everything takes place after that.
In theory, it's not that complicated. You have a man offense, you have a zone offense. They switch to zone. Okay, now we go and do this.
And teams panic. It is amazing to me.
Duke will face Arkansas in the West Region Final Saturday. The Razorbacks take out the top-seeded Zags 74-68. Second year in a row, Musselman and the Hogs are in the region final. Duke, Arkansas, 2-4 in the region final. Mark, Gonzaga, not the only one seed to go down last night. Arizona went down in flames. Fifth-seeded Houston never trailed in a 72-60 win. It'll be the Cougars and the Wildcats of Villanova, who shut down Michigan, held them to just 55 points, 35% shooting. It was an ugly game because Villanova, I think, shot 37%. 63-55, a 2-5. So 2-4, 2-5, West and South region finals. 3 of the 4 ones are out. Kansas, the last one remaining.
For now.
They play Providence tonight in the Midwest region. 7.5-point favorites are the Jayhawks. Second biggest favorite of the night, Purdue, 12.5 against St. Peter's in a 3:15 matchup. Would you take the points?
No.
You would lay the 12.5.
I would lay the 12.5.
I would take the 12.5. I do think Purdue will win, though. The winner of Purdue-St. Peter's will play the winner of North Carolina and UCLA. Little blue blood royalty there, thank you very much.
It doesn't scream 4 versus 8, David. It does scream 4 versus 1, doesn't it?
It does. Or for that matter, 1 against the 2. But the winner of 3:15 plays the winner of 4-8 in the East Region Final. UCLA a 2-point favorite in this one. I'll take Carolina.
I'll take UCLA because I had UCLA winning here either way.
The winner of Providence, Kansas, will play the winner of Miami and Iowa State. The Canes, the 10, the Cyclones, the 11. Miami, a 2.5-point favorite.
I like the Canes here. I think the turnover margin will be the difference in the game.
I like the Canes as well. By the way, the East region, the Purdue, St. Peter's, the UNC, UCLA, those games on CBS tonight. The Midwest region, Kansas, Providence, Iowa State, Miami, those games on TBS tonight.
Very funny.
UMass put their men's basketball coaching job to Frank Martin. Apparently, Frank Martin's wife is a UMass graduate. Family in the area, and he's going home to think about it. I wouldn't take it. Nobody's won there
that's
since
where coaches go to die.
UMass and a few other places in which no. They've made one NCAA tournament since Calipari.
Well, that sounds about right because Frank Martin makes one every 10 years.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was the Final Four.
Okay.
He was very successful at Kansas State, though.
He was.
NFL news.
SEC just means more, David.
In football. Chiefs sign Marquez Valdes-Scantling. 3 years, $30 million. Could be as much as $36 million.
Which leads us to the question of who is Aaron Rodgers going to throw the football to next year?
Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham. Hello. Well, speaking of Landry, fired his agent yesterday. Some guy from Rock Nation represented him. So the Bears have signed Bills guard Ryan Bates to an offer sheet. You don't see a lot of this in the NFL. Bills have 5 days to match. They get no draft pick compensation, however, if they don't match because they signed him to the lowest possible offer sheet. He started the last 5 games of the year for him in Buffalo. I don't know why they would risk losing him. Eagles re-signed defensive end Derek Barnett to a 2-year deal. NBA, John Morant's going to basically miss the rest of the regular season. They came out last night and said, because there's like 3 weeks left in the regular season, and he's going to be out at least 2 more weeks, and then they're going to take a look at his knee. Memphis looks as if they're going to be the 2 seed, however. They beat Indiana at home last night by 30. Milwaukee's a game behind the Heat after beating the Wizards last night by 12. No DeRozan for the Bulls. Maintenance, Mark.
Okay.
Maintenance. You heard that a lot.
Did he
back
need
in
an
the
oil
day.
change?
Right. Needed Napa Filters.
That's what
he
it was.
needed. He didn't have any last night, so they sat him out until they could get him some Napa Filters. He'll be back in the lineup over the weekend. Pelicans a winner by 17. They're now tied with the Lakers for the 9 seed in the West. Phoenix wrapped up the number 1 seed. Chris Paul returned. They beat Denver in Denver, 140 to 130. Man,
Little ABA game.
this is mid-80s Western Conference.
There's 3 weeks left. There's going to be a lot of this.
This is unbelievable.
There's going to be a lot of this the rest of the way.
And the Cleveland Cavaliers played their most important regular season game without LeBron James in about 30 years last night and lost in Toronto 117-104. The Captain Raptors are now tied for the 6th seed. Remember, 6 seed avoids a play-in. 7 seeds in a play-in. And don't the NBA do 7 versus 8, 9 versus 10 in the play-in?
Yes.
So if you're the 7, that means you get Brooklyn. Your playoff stay is really short, is what we're saying. NHL, 10 games last night. Mark, you had an interesting stat yesterday.
The Lightning 6-6-4 against Eastern Conference teams this year.
Playoff teams.
Playoff teams.
Right. Boston is an Eastern Conference playoff team.
Yes, they are.
Lightning lost to them last night in Beantown 3-2. And just like that, the Lightning are a wild card team. Now, they're only a point behind both the Bruins and the Leafs. And we got a whole bunch of games to go. I mean, the NHL regular season's got darn near 6 weeks left because they had that 3-week hiatus because of the Olympics. I mean, NHL playoffs don't start till like May 1st or 2nd. But the Lightning are a wild card, which means we could get Panthers Lightning in the first round.
Right. I think it would end up they would cross over.
Well, it depends on point total.
I know. Right now, they would cross over.
They would get Carolina?
Yes.
Well, I think the Lightning have more points than the Caps, though. So
right now, it's Panthers, Caps, Carolina against. That's
not
how
good.
it sets up now.
It's not good. You want the Leafs. Let's be honest. You want the Leafs. That's who you're trying to get. They don't have a goalie. That's who you want. Panthers, by the way, beat the Canadiens in Montreal 4-3. They have a 7-point lead in the division. Dallas pulled a ham and egger against Carolina. They got outshot, outplayed, won in a shootout 4-3. Minnesota beat Vancouver in overtime 3-2. Edmonton over San Jose 5-2. Vegas with a much-needed win 6-1 over Nashville. And Chicago surprised the Kings in a shootout 4-3. Ottawa, Philly, Islanders also winners. College hockey NCAA tournament. Notre Dame beat North Dakota in overtime because if it goes to overtime, North Dakota loses. Minnesota Duluth shut out Michigan Tech. Minnesota State edged Harvard 4-3. Denver did the same to Massachusetts Lowell 3-2. So the 1, 3, and 4 ranked teams in the country won yesterday, Mark. UMass, the defending national champions, against the Gophers at 6 o'clock tonight. And second-ranked Michigan in action at 3 o'clock this afternoon. 4 more games in the NCAA hockey tournament today. Golf. Today is day 3 of the match play. This is when 64 golfers get reduced to 32. John Rahm's going to face Patrick Reed. Jordan Spieth is going to play Adam Scott. And Schauffele is going to take on Finau today in some matches of note. And NASCAR, did you see this steep penalty for Team RFK? Brad Keselowski, the K in RFK. Yeah, he gets docked 100 points. Right. The team gets docked 100 points, owner points. The crew chief gets suspended for 4 races. And if Keselowski were to make the playoffs, they're going to dock him 10 points at the beginning of the playoffs, all because they, I love this, illegally modified a supplied part on the new next-gen car. Basically, there are parts that you can't touch. And then there are parts that, well, you can do a little something with.
This was one you can't?
You can't touch it. And they touched it. So the old, if you ain't cheating, if you ain't trying, Well, they were trying, and they were cheating, and they got caught. It's one of the steeper penalties they've actually given out in recent years in NASCAR. Keselowski went from 16th to 35th in the point standings.
I like that they did it for the playoffs, too. Basically saying, hey, if you're going to cheat during the regular season, it will affect you if you make our postseason.
And we talked about it briefly earlier. U.S. men's national team outplayed Mexico for large parts of the match in Mexico City, but settled for a scoreless draw. They're tied with Mexico for second in qualifying. Top three make it into the World Cup. Canada, by the way, who's in first, lost to Costa Rica last night, 1-0. They would have clinched a spot in the World Cup with a win. U.S. hosts Panama Sunday, win, and they're all but mathematically in. If they win,
the goal differential's tremendous. They're already +9, so it would be at least +10 if they win the game. It would be next to impossible for them not to make the World Cup if they win against Panama.
But the big world soccer story.
You're damn right. I didn't know if you were going to have this.
Was Italy. Second World Cup in a row the Italians will not be a part of.
North Macedonia beats them 1-0 in extra time.
Not Macedonia.
No.
North Macedonia.
Right. It's like losing to North Fort Myers.
I mean, it's not. It's just a part of it. North Macedonia, world ranking like 419, had like one shot goal. It was in the last 2 minutes. It went in. The Italians dominated, lost 1-0. They're out. They just won the Euro Championship, didn't they, in like 2020?
David, one of their players, the victory in the Euros was my most wonderful moment of my career. What happened this evening was my biggest disappointment. Italy will miss the World Cup for the second consecutive time. It's never happened.
So, I mean, think about how bad it was in the United States to miss the 2018 World Cup. Italy will miss 18 and 22. North Macedonia. Hello. And that was
the starting five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
North Macedonia.
That's a 16 taken down a 1, isn't it?
Every bit of it. UMBC's got nothing on North Macedonia, David.
UMBC's an 8-9 point favorite against North Macedonia. Jim Larranaga, our conversation we had with the Miami head coach from yesterday, is next.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles Or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
He's nonstop press me. I really want to get over and get the lay of the land at the golf course. I'm like, yeah, he couldn't meet with me.
When are you actually going to go on a coffee run?
What, you want something?
Do you really want something?
Like, I don't know. I'm just making sure because if you are, then
Well, let's
I don't know if we
go
can,
now.
Yeah, I don't know if we can make it. That was my biggest worry.
oh, you can make it. I think.
Where are we going?
I think you can even go to the Shell gas station in Miramar Outlets. and-
No.
No?
Absolutely not.
No.
No.
Not with
If
morning
you go right
traffic.
now.
Not with
No.
morning traffic. The only
No.
thing I could get to, I could get to
The 7-Eleven.
the Wendy's
Yeah,
or the
right there.
gas or the
Right.
gas station next to it that has Mexican. The problem is I don't know how long it takes them to make a breakfast burrito.
My breakfast burritos.
I'm not
See-
really going anywhere. I wasn't really planning on leaving.
If I wasn't pressing buttons, I'm telling you, I could make it to the Shell, grab a croqueta or two, come back here,
You probably
be
could.
back by 6.
Probably
or
could.
7:16.
Okay.
But you can't.
I
Right.
can't.
So were you looking for a coffee or,
He was looking for breakfast. He wanted me to go to the Cuban place and get him Cuban food. That's what he wanted.
No, what are you talking about?
He wants a croqueta.
who doesn't?
I never said that.
You just did say it.
I mean, you got to remember, we just wasted 4 minutes. We could have had this conversation, could have ordered it, for God's sakes. Could have picked it up.
Oh, the food's ready. It's the only thing good about the Cuban place. It's sitting right there. It's
Yep.
like grab and go.
Yep.
It's like cafeteria style almost. They're already made.
That's everywhere.
I could probably get there, be close. It's really close.
There's one of those on every other block in Miami. It's a beautiful thing.
But it's too late now. If I'd have left right when we started, I could have done it.
Darn it.
Does anybody want a coffee or anything?
I got my coffee. I'm good.
God knows I can always eat.
I have a wife for breakfast.
Uber Eats really isn't a millennial thing.
She's off today, right? She's sleeping.
Hell,
in.
kids Uber Eat stuff. The kids
She was
nowadays.
pretty much up when I left. She's like, you can leave the light. I'm like, no, go to bed. My wife or my daughter cracked. I wonder if that's Slaggert's kid. Oh,
Power play to start overtime.
I mean, is there anything cooler than Michigan and Notre Dame's hockey helmets?
I agree with that.
All right.
I want to see North Carolina beat South Carolina just because I think it's funny watching North Carolina as an 8.
to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network. And this is a thrill that Jim Larranaga will take time out from his busy schedule to join us here on Miller and Moulton. Of course, the Canes in the Sweet 16 playing Iowa State late Friday night. You can follow the coach on Twitter at CanesCoachL. Jim, it's David and Mark. Thanks so much for your time. How are you?
Yeah, we're in Chicago. We're in the Windy City. And the Hurricanes are going against the Cyclones, so it's going to be some very strong weather.
Thank goodness the game's indoors, Coach.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. First off, congratulations on reaching the Sweet 16. Two tremendous games. You start out with USC and then Auburn. And boy, oh boy, Coach, just talk about that Auburn game. You took it to them from the word go. I don't want to say it was, but you tell me, as a performance, how did that rank this year of all the games Miami's played? It had to be up there as one of their top performances.
Well, if you're talking about this year, I would say the Auburn game and the Duke game would rank 1, 2. And, you know, when you consider that Auburn at one time was the number one team in the country, and for several weeks, and Bruce Pearl has built himself a powerful program there. Our players' execution of our game plan was to perfection. We defended them really well. We defended the big guys, Jabari Smith and Walker Kessler, really well. And then at the other end of the floor, we scored the ball. I mean, we had Charlie Moore at 15 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists. Isaiah Wong had 21 points. Cam Auguste, 20. Jordan Miller got us off to a great start. The first basket was a alley-oop dunk for Jordan Miller, then a scoop shot to get us off to a very, very good start. So, you know, a great team effort.
Coach, when was the first moment this season when you either said to yourself or you said to an assistant, you go, you know, I think we're going to be pretty good? I mean, you know, sometimes it's an August trip that a team takes. Sometimes it's in a practice. Sometimes it takes place during a game. I'm just curious, the first time that you kind of raised an eyebrow and went, you know, I think we're going to be pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm there yet. Honestly, this team is just so much fun to coach, and the guys are so much fun to be around. And then I look at our opponents, and I say, oh, my goodness, they're so big, they're so strong, they're so physical. And I look at our guys as being just a bunch of nice guys. But what they've done, and to answer your question, we lost to Alabama by 30 points in Orlando back in November. And when we came out of that game and prepared to play Penn State in the ACC Big Ten Challenge, we played them on a Wednesday night. And after the game, I said to the coaches, oh, we've just turned a major corner. And they asked me why. I said, well, because all the mistakes we made against Alabama, we quickly corrected against Penn State. And then that Saturday, we played Clemson. It was our first ACC game for the season. It was like December 1st. And it was the same thing. We fell behind, and we had to struggle to fight our way back in. We were down 9 with 5 minutes to go and came back and won that game. So the mental and emotional side of the game, we had really, really been on a roller coaster, from the devastating loss against Alabama to the great road victory against Penn State to the first ACC win against Clemson. And we started to do things consistently well. And the credit really needs to go to a guy like Sam Wardenberg, a 6th-year senior captain who's having a great year. He pulled the players all together. They sat and watched game tape without the coaches being there. He had like just a player-only meeting. And that made all the difference in the world.
Iowa State coming up, and now a little bit different. I mean, you were a 10 playing a 7. You were a 10 playing a 2. Now you go into this game at 10 versus 11. I think you're a slight favorite in the game, which hadn't been the case in the first two. Does the team realize more expectations now? It seems that your team all year has been able to, I don't know if play with a chip on their shoulder, but we've watched. You were leading the ACC, not getting ranked. You were beating good teams, not getting ranked. You were beating more good teams. You were still considered not an automatic qualifier right away. It just seems that nationally, Miami's not gotten a lot of respect. It seems that your club can play with a chip on its shoulder, but now are the expectations higher that you're a favorite in this game?
Well, first of all, going into the NCAA tournament, I sat with the team and my coaching staff and said to them, look, we've been in the NCAA tournament many, many times before. And here's what I always say. There's 68 teams in the field. Every one of them is good. Any one of them can beat you. If you don't play a great game, you're probably going to lose and go home. You have to play so well because your opponent is going to try to play their best game. And we've been fortunate in the first two to play really well and win. But Iowa State is just as good a team or they wouldn't be in the Sweet 16. The teams that are in the Sweet 16 have earned their way in. Teams like St. Peter's did not get a bye into the Sweet 16. They had to beat Kentucky to advance, then Murray State to advance. You beat a good opponent. You got to get ready for another good opponent. Your seed is irrelevant.
Jim Larranaga, men's basketball coach at Miami, having taken the Canes to their third Sweet 16 since he has been the head coach, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton. I don't know if I can get you to do this, but I'm hoping that you'll take your humble hat off for a moment. You have had tremendous tournament success at Miami and elsewhere. Some terrific coaches can't have tremendous tournament success. Is there something that you think you do, whether in preparation, approach, is there something that you do that you think deep down, I help us win by doing this. I make things better because your teams do well in mid and late March. Do you think that there's something that you do that helps that?
Yes. And I will tell you something that, is maybe something hard for people to understand. The thing that I do personally is spend an inordinate amount of time selecting the right assistant coaches for my staff, trying to find the right guys who know me and can find the right players who fit my style, who will blend into my philosophy in a way that we can be successful, not only during the regular season, but in postseason. I'm going to give you two examples. Bill Courtney's on my staff. It's his second stint with me. I hired him at Bowling Green in 1996. So that's 26 years ago. We're like family. We know each other very, very well. When I hired Bill Courtney, I interviewed 27 guys. 27. Because I knew exactly what I was looking for and couldn't find it. And then finally, someone recommended Bill Courtney. I interviewed him. I said, this is the guy. And Bill helped us recruit our Final Four team at George Mason. He went on to become the head coach of Cornell in the Ivy League. He then is now back on my staff. But he's a brilliant recruiter and tactician, and he always gives me great advice. The second guy I want to tell you about is Chris Caputo, my associate head coach. He's been with me for 20 years. When I was at an all-star game in Connecticut, this college kid comes up to me. He's 20 years old at the time and said, Coach L, my name is Chris Caputo. I went to Archbishop Malloy and played for Coach Curran just like you did. And I want to get into college coaching. I looked at him and said, "Well, how old are you?" He said, I'm 20. I'm a junior in college at Westfield State University in Massachusetts. Well, I was familiar with Westfield State. So I gave him my card and said, "Hey, just stay in touch with me, and when the time comes, I'll try to help you." He emailed me. There was no text back then. He emailed me every day for 2 years. He came on my staff as a volunteer. He was a volunteer for 3 years. He made no money. Zero. And yet did a fantastic job. The only thing he could do, he couldn't even get on the court and coach. The only thing he could do is get on the phone and talk to high school and AAU coaches. And he built a network that led to us recruiting those Final Four players. He's done it. I elevated him to a third assistant and second assistant. Now he's my associate head coach. When you have people around you who know you, love you, care about you, and they go out and find the right guys that you can coach and hopefully bring out the best. And then those players not only love my staff, they love each other, they care about each other, they work really, really hard to bring out the best in each other. And that's really what works in postseason. You know, a team that trusts each other and believes in each other.
Coach, thanks for being so forthcoming, and thanks for making time for us. We appreciate it. Enjoy Chicago. We hope it's a weekend-long stay, and hopefully we can talk again sooner rather than later.
All right, guys, my pleasure.
Jim Larranaga. He's got Iowa State in the Sweet 16. You know, the Canes have made the Sweet 16 4 times in their men's basketball history, 3 since he's become the head coach.
Can I give you a stat?
Yeah.
I mean, you could almost cue music for this and play a little jingle behind it. It's that good, because the Canes are 7th in the country, averaging just 9.3 turnovers a game. Iowa State, 278th in the country, averaging almost 14 turnovers. To me, that's the game. Iowa State's taking care of the ball in their first 2 games. You'll see the turnover margin a little bit more distinguished, and that'll be the difference for Miami.
Well, that's 5 possessions. And you figure in a very close game, 5 possessions, that could be the difference. Jim Larranaga joining us here on Miller and Moulton. That was a treat. Back with more of the show after this here on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Hello.
was not supposed to be making during dead periods of recruiting
Right.
and what have you. But I mean, look what he's done to Houston. He could have been in Indiana this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
He got fired over phone calls.
Right.
Got a 5-year show cause penalty for the NCAA, like 15 or so years ago.
Right.
You know how different things are now?
Right.
It's kind of like Tressel having to resign over tattoos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It looks so ridiculous in hindsight.
I actually, even though they lost, I like the way he coaches.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going inside, they're missing shots. All he kept doing.
Keep going. Right.
I
Get
mean,
shots.
calm. I mean, he
Yep.
was never, he's never going nuts. I like that. I don't, and I could play for a guy that's gone nuts. I just don't think you can do that anymore. I
Tell you what, I think Providence is a real shot tonight. A real shot. 7, and I'm definitely would be all over the 7.5. In fact, the only favorite I think I'd take tonight is Miami. Wow, JS. Wow. She is fond of you. How about that?
So, has it always been a thing that pennies just don't work on vending machines?
yes.
Oh, yeah.
Damn.
You tried to put pennies in a vending machine.
I didn't know.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, my
Here,
God.
do you
yeah.
want $1 bill?
No, I got 90 cents and then I took 10 pennies and I was like, oh crap, pennies don't work.
Wow. Wow.
I've never
heard of anyone putting pennies in a vending machine.
I have 90 cents.
You want $1?
You want
Yes.
money?
Yes.
Well, you may have to wait till the next commercial break. This could be a segment. Yeah.
How do you not fire him instantly for saying something like that?
Boy, Dad, first time ever in the Twitch chat room. LOL. I know. I'm with you.
By the way,
I mean, Philly, I really like you, and I am trying to figure out reasons why to keep you employed right now.
That's concerning.
I've never put a penny in a vending machine.
Why'd you
Do you
do
know
it now?
why?
Because they don't go.
Because they don't go in
They're
vending
so
machines.
pointless. Oh my God. I hate pennies. I hate them.
Well, I don't. Wow.
What is a penny good for?
Not a vending machine.
Charity, actually.
Every penny.
It's
counts.
a lot of people believe it's the number one reason why we haven't gotten rid of the penny.
Charity?
Yep. All the just spare change in the thing, and it always goes to charities, and that.
Adds up somehow, I guess.
Who was it who proposed it a few years ago? They thought the amount of money we're wasting on
We
pennies.
waste so much money on pennies.
I know, Klecko. That's a rough one. It's going to take him a while to overcome that.
I'm young, okay? I use.
You are
Philly.
young.
It's not really an excuse.
Philly, there's a time to quit speaking. Right now is one of those times.
Right. You take your loss.
As
You
Paul
just deal
says,
with
be
it.
quiet and be thought of as a fool, then speak and remove all doubt.
Jeff's trying to come to your defense here, saying he's glad you even know about pennies.
Been paying with cash a lot lately. It's been a lot of fun.
I'm trying not to charge, so I've been doing the same
So
thing.
it's-
You take lasagna down there.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Pat Kirwan to join us coming up at the top of the hour. He's already chomping at the bit. He's raring to go. He's had his morning cup of joe, and he's fired up. So Pat Kirwan in about 40 minutes to talk all things NFL. Should we let people in behind the curtain?
Yes, we have to. And I think there are times I give the impression on the show that I don't like our producer. And I really, really like Felipe. I think he is a great young kid. I think there is a tremendous amount of potential. He can be a little overzealous at times.
Well, he's young.
Right.
But you are going more the tough love route than the coach who's just constantly clapping, saying, that's okay. Keep shooting. Keep shooting.
That's true on air. I would say off air, I'm not exactly the same way. Yesterday, Philly had some problems, called me, and I think that I didn't yell. I think that I was very calm and very kind and calmed you down a little bit because you were a train wreck when you called me.
Yes.
And I think you were better when we got off the phone.
Yes.
So you're right. On air, a little tougher. Off air, a little bit.
Right. You're actually the clapper. Yeah. Right.
Little nicer to pull him in. Give him a nice hug there. It's going to be okay.
Uh-huh.
And then came the past commercial break.
That was a tough moment for Felipe.
It started out because, as we mentioned, we taped that interview with Jim Larranaga yesterday, and we replayed it. So we had about 20 minutes. Philly waited about 6, in which he said, is anybody going to run and get some food? Which, if he wanted it, you got to come right out of the hop. You got to come. I need it now. Let's go.
Yeah. And in fact, need to talk about it at the break before. So when we threw at the break at like 6:54.
Out the door.
Right. And we've got 27 minutes if we talk about it.
Right.
You can catch traffic, the lights, the whole deal. You're okay.
Yeah. I mean, we could have had croquetas and empanadas.
I still think you would have made it. I think
you may be right, but we can't take that chance. It is a live radio show after all.
That is true.
Except when it's on tape. But
But then, because Philly didn't get food.
Right.
He went to make a run to the vending machines here in the studio, which is a dangerous move in and of itself.
I will say the food in the vending machines has improved from when we were here in our first act. I would say, though, as vending machine food goes, this is below average.
He comes back into the studio with this look of delusion.
Right.
And he says,
guys.
And it was close to that.
No, it was. Guys.
It really was. How come vending machines don't take pennies?
And we said because they've never taken pennies.
Ever.
All of them. As if, by the way, they're people. That's how we spoke of them.
Yes.
I don't know what to tell you. Tony doesn't take pennies. Never has.
But Felipe tried to put pennies in a vending machine.
I've got $1, but I've got 90 cents and 10 pennies. And so I put the silver in, and then I started putting the pennies, and it wouldn't take it.
I don't even have quarters either. I just have nickels and dimes.
Just
look at that. This is what I got.
That's fine. Nickels and dimes are silver. They work in a vending machine.
Still a coin, though.
He's 6 weeks away from a degree,
I know.
6 weeks. He's going to get a degree. He put pennies in a vending machine. He's going to be a college graduate.
It was a move of desperation.
Not only that, he's going to be a college graduate, I believe, with honors. I mean, Felipe gets like all A's.
I have no idea what that even means.
And he put more than 1 penny in a vending machine.
Expecting to get a result.
Looking at the machine like, what the heck?
Right.
It was just one. It went right through, and I was like, oh, you got
Did you do it again?
No.
You just did it the once?
But I did it. I did it in the other vending machine.
Oh, my God! Oh, my goodness!
I had to make sure.
So the supplemental poll question right now that may go up is, should we fire Felipe
No.
for putting pennies in a vending machine? Because I don't know how I can keep him employed at this point.
I love the fact he thought it was the machine. I can't believe it. What's wrong with this machine? Doesn't take pennies. How about this one over here?
I want to have a segment where we have like a Price is Right segment, and you and I pay Felipe in cash to see if he can make change. I'm so baffled right now.
I mean, text the show, FSN Radio, if you never have before, all one word, FSN Radio to 21,000, FSN Radio to 21000. Feel free, if you're watching the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel, to comment. And the first thing I thought of was what Sonny says here. Does the machine still work? Listen, they don't even want us in this building. Okay, we had to make a deal, get it in writing for that to allow us in the studio. You break one of the vending machines, we're done. If you get us fired, we will be angry with you, just so you know.
Maybe. But tried to pay a vending machine with pennies.
Pennies! Oh, my goodness. Can't believe this isn't working. Guys, do vending machines not take pennies?
Pennies are so pointless.
Then why did you try to use it in a vending machine?
10
because
of them,
I was
actually.
desperate.
You had 10 of them lined up, ready
10.
to go.
Oh, I have like a way more in my car because that's where I got them.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you weren't roaming the parking lot trying to find pennies for the vending machine.
Yeah, during the Laranega interview, I went to the Miramar outlets. I dug them out of the fountain.
No, you didn't. So that's what was happening.
This is what we're dealing with.
Right. So I know, listen, you all have issues. All right, we get it. And I understand this falls under the category of first world problems, but I mean, just put yourself in our shoes for a minute. I mean, we do to a large degree put our future in young Felipe's hands.
We entrust him with a lot.
A lot. Pennies in a vending machine. Can't believe this isn't working. Guys,
how do I get a Zag nut?
Oh, man.
Isn't a penny worth more than itself? I think that's a thing.
Or you mean cost more than
It
itself?
costs more than it.
It costs more. My bad. Not
Yes.
worth.
Yes.
It costs more than a cent to produce a penny.
It's a money loser. It is.
We're doing great.
Charities, I believe the number one reason that pennies are kept is that it would cost charities millions of dollars, because a lot of people take their spare change and what have you, and that. Now, who knows? I mean, if we tried it, and maybe people would still do their spare change, but they'd get nickels instead of pennies. But I'd
be a lot better for the charity, one would think.
Yeah, I've been 2-3 years ago, somebody wanted to do away with, like, they seriously discussed getting rid of the penny.
They should get rid of the penny.
And one of the reasons, and I thought it was the biggest reason that was advocated, is
round up, round down.
I'm all for it. I mean, we're for the 4-day work week. How could we not be for rounding up and rounding down? We're into simple.
I mean, maybe gas prices. I
have no idea.
But I think we could get rid of the penny.
I mean, other than charity, people just use it to pay with pennies in spite. It's like a petty play.
People don't use cash to pay for anything.
Well, they use it for vending machines.
No, they don't.
Man, unbelievable. What were you trying to buy? I'm just curious. What were you going to eat? What was breakfast? Be honest.
I was eyeing those veggie chips, like the salty veggie chips.
I'm not giving you $1 now.
Why? Those are good. They're salty. I need something salty. Everything else is $1.50. Okay.
I don't even care anymore. The fact that he was going to use pennies in a vending machine and going to get veggie chips. You know what I'm going to do with my 7 cents? I'm going to get me some veggie chips.
The Cheez-Its are $1.50.
Well,
buck up.
Could have gone back.
Buck up. I don't carry cash anymore.
Could have gone back to the car, gotten 50 more cents. Could have asked the two old guys. Old guys have cash.
I'm Gen X, my man.
My man.
No, you're
or Gen
not.
Z.
You're man. You are nothing close to Gen X, my friend.
Gen Z.
Gen X would eat you up and spit you out.
No one's ever called me my man before. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program The Training Grove, with a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, the Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with the Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
They're trying to stick me with this golf course. I do not like the price. He's at $97 for golf and lunch. I'm like, are you high?
Who?
West Bay.
In June?
Right. I just sent a text. You're beginning over $10,000 in advertising, and the charity is Folds of Honor. Do better. I'll take it to Golf Club of the Everglades.
Where is that?
Immokalee. That was a block.
Mm-hmm.
That I thought was going to be a backdoor dunk.
Oh.
I saw him cut. I'm like, oh, it's a got him. That was actually great defense because they got the ball right where they were supposed to.
You know, Doug, that's not a bad point. I mean, that's about the cheapest you can get stuff for nowadays is $1. I can only imagine. Think about how bad something has to be in a vending machine to sell it for $1 these days.
Text, as an FGCU grad myself, congrats, Felipe. You didn't ditch class and showed up on time. Here's your degree. Who's the new Louisville basketball coach?
I don't know.
Someone said, what do you think about the new Louisville basketball coach? Kenny Payne?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. He played for Louisville.
Yeah.
And been a Kentucky assistant, Knicks assistant. Recruiting wise, he'll be terrific. He's totally connected. In fact, a lot of the kids, the joke is now Worldwide West delivering players for Cal that he's going to have to start splitting it up. Okay, you go to Cal, you go to Kenny, you go to Cal, you go to Kenny. That instead of it all going to Cal, now that it's going to get divvied up. The good thing is that it's who the folks there wanted, which is good because they need to calm things down in Louisville. Philly got his Cheez-Its. He's all happy. It's
Hell
or
yeah.
nips? Now what? It's or nips?
No, it's.
Okay, I just asking.
There's cheese nips.
There used to be. I don't know
Yeah,
if there is anymore.
It's the knockoff.
Yeah.
Like
They had, I went to Aldi for the first time yesterday, that grocery store. I'd never been.
Aldi's gas.
I've yet to go. How is it?
It's fine.
Okay.
They got some things that are cheaper, but they had a lot of the knockoff,
Okay.
like Cheez-It things and of that. I was
Right.
laughing at like the aisle of things that look really much like what you buy, but they're not.
Are they a little cheaper at least?
The produce was cheaper. It's a little cheaper.
Okay.
I mean, you got to be, you got to bring your own grocery bags. It's a.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, they don't have bags.
Yeah, and the cool thing with Aldi is you put a quarter into the shopping cart to use it, to unlock it.
The shopping carts are not free?
No. If you put a quarter in and then in
You
order
get
to
it back on the way out,
you
don't
get
you?
it back by putting it back at the front. And then it unclicks
like
your
it's
quarter.
like
That's not a bad idea.
It's like
That's
the
a good
old, It's
idea.
like the old airport
yeah.
luggage
I
things.
got it. That's not a bad idea.
That's a good one.
Because then you don't have to hire somebody to spend the whole
That's-
day in the
that's their whole
parking lot.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Pat Kirwan at the top of the hour. Talk all things NFL. Here on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Sweet 16 got underway last night. Duke outscored Texas Tech down the stretch, final 3 minutes to win 78-73. They'll face Arkansas in the West Region final. Down go the Zags. Razorbacks, the 6-point winners. Not bad as a 9.5-point dog. So Duke, Arkansas, 2 against a 4 in the West. Villanova, Houston, a 2 against a 5 in the South. Nova, 8 better than Michigan. Houston, 12 better than Zona. So 2 1 seeds go down. Baylor went down in the second round. That leaves just Kansas tonight. And you and I both think they're vulnerable.
Absolutely. The way 1 seeds are going down, how can you trust a 1 right now?
Well, listen, we got a lot wrong with our brackets, but we did say heading into the tournament, there is no dominant team. There is no great team. November and December, if you paid attention to the sport, was bat blank bonkers. I mean, you and I,
even into late February, you had the top 6 teams all get beat on the same day.
so we thought there would be chaos. We did not, at least, now we got the chaos wrong. The teams we thought would hold true, at least I did. I mean, I was done 6 hours into this
I don't
tournament.
think anybody got any of this right. I really don't, David. I will say the one thing that we're not sure if we got right is young Felipe, who did get his Cheez-Its, having cash to go to the vending machine, borrowing it from one of the elder statesmen of the show. We got these texts, David. In 53 years, I've never seen a vending machine take pennies. We're with you.
Right.
And we got this text, Felipe. As an FGCU grad myself, congrats, Felipe. You didn't ditch class and you showed up on time. Here's your degree.
Wow. Wow.
Not an indictment of you, just the place that you've spent the last 4 years.
Oh, thank you. I mean, college is really simple. You just show up to class. That's it. Show up. Show up.
Okay, once again, I do the whole thing. I don't even think you have to show up. You're paying. I think you're paying for the right to sleep in or go. It's the last time in your life you get to make that decision because you control it.
Right.
As soon as you're done,
As soon as someone's paying you,
someone else controls it.
correct.
Yeah, but what do I know? East region tonight, St. Peter's, Purdue, North Carolina, UCLA. Boy, you couldn't have two Sweet 16 matchups that are any different. 3 against a 15, a 4 against an 8, but it's two blue bloods that are the 4 and the 8. Those games, by the way, on CBS in Philadelphia. Midwest region in Chicago, early game, Providence and Kansas. Jayhawks a 7.5-point favorite. We're all over the Friars, right?
Absolutely.
Taking the points?
Yes.
And a 10-11 matchup, Miami hosting Iowa State. Canes have never been to the Elite Eight ever.
They go after tonight. I think they win. I think they cover. It's a short number. I would be taking the Canes and laying the points tonight.
2.5 is the number. It's right around a 10 o'clock tip-off. The Midwest region, Providence, Kansas, Iowa State, Miami, both games on TBS. CBS in the East, TBS in the Midwest.
Our poll question today is, are you rooting for Coach K to make it to the Final Four? Simple as that. Right now, we're back to that 2/3, 1/3 thing. 2/3 are with me, not rooting for Coach K.
Wow.
I'm surprised it's that high.
I'm in.
I'm actually stunned it's that high.
I'm in, by the way. I'm like, yeah, now that we've gotten to this point, absolutely.
Now, can I twist the poll question a little bit? Because I think a lot of people would say yes, only to see him lose.
Oh, that doesn't matter. Are you rooting for him to get to the Final Four?
I voted yes.
Yeah. At this point, yeah. Now I'm in. I want to see the story. It'll make it. I mean, listen, I have a soft spot for Arkansas. I loved Nolan Richardson's teams and how they played. But, yeah, at this point, sure. And I know you could say, oh, come on, Arkansas hasn't been in forever. I get it. And normally I take that approach. But, listen, we're never going to see another men's coach, I don't believe, like Mike Krzyzewski. I don't believe we're going to see, and I don't just mean in our lifetimes. I think it might even be in Felipe's lifetime. I don't know if there will be a coach that will have his resume in the next 50 years.
You're probably right. One, because in today's world, Coach K might have been fired after 3 years.
I don't know if there's any might have been about it. I mean, a losing record each of his first 3 years. You got to remember, he gets the Duke job 2 years before he got the job. They played for the national championship and lost in the region final, I believe, in the Elite Eight the year, and then he gets the job. So, I mean, the folks there were like, this guy's running this thing into the ground.
So 3 losing seasons at a top program. If his replacement has 3 losing seasons, does his replacement get to keep the job for year 4?
And his replacement is a former Duke player.
Right.
In John Shire. I mean, Mike Krzyzewski's coming from Army. Here's the other thing. The fact Krzyzewski got the job. Usually when you're at a school like Army, a low-level school, you get a job like that coming off a great year. Well, Krzyzewski's great year at Army was a year before he got the Duke job. I believe his last Army team went like 9-18. So think about that AD. He hires Krzyzewski coming off a 9-win season at Army. And then he has 3 straight losing seasons to start his campaign. He's on Tobacco Road. Dean Smith wins the title in 82. Valvano wins it in 83. Krzyzewski's losing. And then the recruits start coming.
How after those losing seasons, all those recruits starting coming, I'll always wonder.
Billis talks about it because he was part of that class, the Johnny Dawkins, Tommy Amaker, Jay Billis, class that, sure enough, by the time they were seniors, they were in the championship game, losing to Louisville, but as the number 1 team in the country. But they were the guys that brought Duke back. And Billis has talked about it. He goes, I never heard of him before. Funny name. All right. They were losing. I'm a West Coast guy. He goes, he was really good in the room, man. He goes, I was buying what he was selling.
And the rest, as they say, is history. But that's the part. Think about that. A losing season to get the job, 3 losing seasons to start the job. Would you be able to keep the job in today's world? It seems highly unlikely.
Highly. But things were a little different 40 years ago.
Absolutely.
Just a little bit. Plus, also Virginia is going with Ralph Sampson. I mean, the ACC is a monster.
Maryland's still in the ACC.
Yes. Syracuse, Pitt, Boston College, and Virginia Tech were not. Right. No.
We didn't even have Big Monday yet.
And they weren't on it. Oh, boy. So, good question in our Twitch chat room. Did vending machines take pennies 40 years ago when Coach K got the job?
No.
No.
The answer to that is no.
Great question, though. Very timely. If you're just joining us, Felipe, half hour ago, was trying to put pennies in the vending machine. We know it still works because I went to the car and got him quarters and dimes and nickels, and then he got his Cheez-Its. So we're good.
It was a desperate move out of desperation. I was 10 cents short, grabbed 10 pennies, and
Unreal. That is.
So, Felipe, if we were to play the game, how much cash do you have in your pocket? Is the answer 0?
oh yeah, I have no cash.
I do love this game.
Again,
At this moment in time, how much cash do you have in your wallet? That's if you have a wallet, but you know what I mean. Money clip, this, that, and the other thing. Supposedly, the average guy has like $23 on him at any point in time.
I have a little more than that.
I have 27.
I have 102.
Mark,
Wow. That's big. You going somewhere after the show?
No, I'm not.
you double click your phone, it reads your face, boom. Bloop. Look, I'm not saying cash is pointless because I like carrying cash.
Cash is king.
Cash
is
king.
not pointless.
Cash is king.
Cash is king.
I love cash.
It's never the wrong color. It's always the right size.
right. But carrying cash nowadays
Is what?
is
Is it hard to get? There's not
It's-
ATMs at near
it's-
enough spots for you?
it's not necessarily necessary
Yeah, actually it is.
Actually,
And I'll tell
it
you
is.
why.
if everything
Because
goes
when
down.
you go out and you go to a bar, for instance, you're a young enough guy that maybe you're going to want to woo a lady at some point. You're going to see a pretty lady and you're going to go double click and pay for it. And then you're going to write down. You can't even keep it. You got to be able to pay cash for drinks. You got to be able to have a wad of cash in your hand and be able to throw down a couple of 20s to pay
It's
for
very
something.
impressive. It
Oh,
really is. You can just peel off, all right, whatever it is you need to peel off, and you go boom, 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 and you just throw it on the bar and you go, here you go.
And-
Thanks a lot. And you walk away.
See, I love it because now my buddies are texting me. One of my players, Larry, $985.
Twitch chat room, somebody said $1,200. All right. I mean,
You know why? Because he's a degenerate gambler. And degenerate gamblers have a lot of cash on them.
I'm not saying I haven't thrown down cash before, but
Not that often.
here's the other thing.
I don't have
If
to.
you can say with the certainty you just said that cash isn't that important, then you've never really thrown down cash.
but me saying it's not important.
Is because you don't have any.
No, well, no.
Here's
I can
another
go-
reason.
I can just go get cash.
Here's another reason why you want to carry cash. You want to tip in cash. All right. Trust me, the servers really appreciate it and they remember you. Always tip in cash.
Yeah, that's true. My friend's a server.
Yeah. Always,
Uh-huh.
always tip in cash. The other thing is it's tough to steal your identity when it's a $20 bill. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But that's me. Miller and Moulton. Pat Kirwan coming up in roughly 10 minutes time. You know who meets the media today? Deshaun Watson in Cleveland. And there was a chance yesterday, Mark, he was going to meet the media today having been indicted.
Because that came out of nowhere.
Right.
That a second smaller town in Texas had a grand jury that could have indicted Deshaun Watson. They did
Right.
not. So he has now had 2 grand juries that have not indicted him.
Correct. Obviously, the civil suits are still moving forward at this point in time. Deshaun Watson in Cleveland yesterday. I guess he was shaking hands inside the building in Berea, getting to meet people associated with the organization. And while Tyreek Hill met with the media in Miami yesterday, Drew Rosenhaus went point by point as to how the negotiations went. Devontae Parker signs his big deal. He calls up the Chiefs and says, listen, my guy's got to get paid what he's getting paid. Okay, and if you're not going to pay him that, let us know now, because we'll tell you we're going to play 1 year and we're leaving. Or you can trade him. And the Chiefs said, we'll give you permission to call all the other teams and work out a deal. Rosenhaus said, great. 12 teams expressed immediate interest. The Jets were the most serious. Jets got right to it. You had to work out a deal with the Chiefs. Jets apparently were giving them 2 2s, a 3, and a 4 over 2 years. Chiefs were like, we'll take that deal. He was pretty far down the road, he said, with the Jets, with negotiations. And he let the other 11 teams know, hey, we're settling on the Jets, blah, blah, blah. Dolphins were like, what? Came over the top. Through a deal with the Chiefs, Chiefs said, we would accept this deal. So you work out where you want to go, Jets or Dolphins. And he chose Dolphins.
You know, agents are your new best friend. Because the league that you're now enjoying is being thrown in this direction, not because general managers are making trades, because general managers don't know what to do with clients and tell the agent, go make a deal.
Right.
Well, the agents aren't shy about making trades.
Oh, hell, it's going to get my client more money, me more commission. I'll work the phones.
And they're working them.
Yeah.
Which is bizarro strange, but I love it.
Devontae Parker, by the way, as someone in our Twitch chat room says, we need to trade him. Apparently, 6-8 teams have called the Dolphins immediately saying, so what's it going to take Devontae Parker off your hands?
I'd like to see him in Green Bay.
Well, Green Bay would like to see him in Green Bay because at the rate things are going, they have no one to pass the ball to.
Telling you, Jarvis Landry fired his agent yesterday. Still got Landry, got Odell. There are others. They should be able to get somebody. Number 12 is the quarterback, after all.
One would think, but so far they've been losing receivers more quickly than they've been getting them. Pat Kirwan will answer those questions on the other side. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, the Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with the Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Oh, I'm supposed to play golf today. Nap could be a much better idea. I can assure you I'll be setting the DVR to tape the two late games. So if anything happens, I can rewatch the K. That's what I'll do. I'll just tape them both. I'll get up at 5 in the morning and watch them. Oh, that hard enough?
Yeah, really.
Jesus.
Uh-oh.
It is funny. I didn't realize, because even with the kid that coaches Maddie in softball, he's been very good. Look, they're going to figure out how to catch last. He goes, we'll worry about hitting. He goes, just trust me that the catching will come. There's nothing more fun watching little kids try to catch a baseball. The softball girls all wear the little infield masks.
Yeah.
I don't know why the boys don't in baseball. I'm not joking. Watching kids play hardball, it's like, wow. I can't believe how many people are rooting against Coach K.
I know. Did you see the new manager for the Yankees? She's managing the Florida State League team. She took one in the face earlier in the week. She's all bruised up. Yeah, I told you. I mean, block charges are almost always blocks. They just are. It's the worst officiated call in the sport.
Oh, wow. That Bilbo who represented Landry, he got suspended in 2018 for depositing a check to Landry into his own account. No wrongdoing, but that's just a little backstory that Darren Heitner has on here.
Oh, what's this?
listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the top of the 8 o'clock hour here on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. Pat Kirwan is kind enough to join us once again. He of Moving the Chains, weekday afternoons on NFL Radio. Pat joins us, courtesy of Pinchers from Tampa to Key West and many points in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. Anything happened in the league since we last spoke?
Not much. Just a couple of huge mega contracts for receivers, and now GMs are having meltdowns about what they're going to do. Metcalf, we all heard about him for the last 24 hours, but there are more. And there are more guys that are going to make more money, or they think they're going to make more money. Marquise Brown, Deontay Johnson, Terry McLaurin, those contracts are all expiring. We might see a record, David, for franchise tags for wide receivers as GMs try to figure out, can we simmer down this explosion of wide receiver contracts?
Pat, I want to just start you out with what our poll question was yesterday. With the Dolphins getting Hill, does that make them a Super Bowl contender, a playoff contender, or are they the same old Dolphins?
I think they got a chance at a wild card. I mean, Tyreek Hill's a terrific player, and Armstead's a wonderful left tackle, but you still got a quarterback that's unproven, hasn't really done anything. So the amount of pressure, everyone's talking about it, the amount of pressure on Tua, will they bench him? Are they so set in their mind that we can make the playoffs that if Tua is struggling, will they bench him? I think that's the question of the day down there. And that decision, they can't keep trying to nurture him along. They've got a lot of money poured into this deal, so I think he's got to play well, or he's going to be on the pines. No, I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender by any means.
The people you know, Armstead signing, I'm worried about his knees, or at least the one knee. Okay, the people that you talk to, Paul Alexander, line coach, do they think Armstead can still physically hold up?
Yeah, I think we're at the phase, you guys, I think this happens to a lot of guys where they don't practice anymore, right? They don't lift. There's no more squatting, and the power lifts are critical for linemen that have to move people. And so he's not going to be lifting, and he's probably not going to be practicing very much. And consequently, he'll be fresh every week, but over time, that's a deterioration of skill that happens with those guys. But I think he'll make through the season.
I'm just curious, Pat, what your grade so far is on the Dolphins offseason. Because to us, with the running backs, the guard, they've got a receiver, obviously the tackle, and now Hill. The Dolphins, to us, have had a tremendous offseason. Do you agree with that statement? And is it just basically your apprehensions on whether Tua can be the guy or not of what takes him to the next level?
Yeah, I think they're building a nice team, and they kind of switched from a build. Remember when they gave all their good players away for draft picks because they were going the route of the draft? Well, what happened? It was okay, but they weren't moving along fast enough, and now they jumped deep into the free agent world and the trade world, which is the same thing as free agency. So, and they're giving picks away to get good players. So I keep my mind on that stuff all the time. So let's give away our players for picks. Did it really work? Not really. So they have a nice looking football team. They paid a lot of money for it. And once again, and I haven't heard you guys say anything, but do you believe Tua is ready to take them to the promised land?
I don't know about promised land, but he is an accurate quarterback, and they've got 3 guys right now that are very difficult to cover one-on-one in Hill and Waddle and Gesicki. And I would think that would turn even above average quarterback into a good quarterback. So I think that Tua, the line will be better. The running backs will be better. 3 guys who in theory can get open damn near anytime they want. I would like to think, Pat, that just about any quarterback could come in and win double-digit games unless the defense is horrible.
Let's be careful on any quarterback. I can give you a list of 50 that couldn't.
Well, but I mean, a starting caliber NFL quarterback, I think with that talent, I would like to think that's a minimum of 10 wins, which doesn't guarantee you the playoffs or the 17-game season. But I would like to think, put it this way, Pat, I think they're ahead of the Patriots now in that division.
Oh, well, I might agree with you on that. Just keep in mind they have a brand new, never been a head coach. And we'll see how he does on his learning curve of how to run a football team. I think he's pretty talented. I was talking to Joe Rose about it the other day. He's a very unique kid. I don't really recall ever knowing or interviewing a head coach like him ever. Players, I think, tend to like him. At least the young players will like him. He's pretty hip. But we'll see. He's got a ways to go. It's always the same issue with these guys. Game management, which I'm sure, David, you'll focus on during the season.
Yep.
And can he handle all that stuff? Can he pull the trigger on Tua if he has to? Will he bench him in the middle of a game because it's going south on him and he needs the win? It's the division. Oh, it's the Patriot game. So there's a lot of things going on there. I did talk to one defensive coach, and I said, hey, you're not playing Miami. You know them, though. I want you to tell me how you'd play them. What's the fundamental coverage you're going to use against all that nice talent? He said 6 under, 2 deep. We're going to dare Tua to throw deep. We would play 6 under. And people used to pack 6 under against Brady, except it was Brady that were doing it to, and he still got the ball in there. But so I do think you're going to see some unusual 3-man rush, 6 under, 2 deep, and basically say, what's really available? Deep. Let's see if he'll take it. So I think that's one of the things. It's never the only thing guys will do, but that came right out of his mouth, that we will log up the middle of the field, the underneath stuff, and we know those receivers can get deep. We don't know if he can throw it deep.
We watched him do it a lot in Alabama, Pat. That's all I'll say. I'll trust Tua for now. My question to you, though, Pat, is what about their defense? Flores was very good. I mean, great defensively. For this new head coach, should you be worried about the Dolphins' defense?
Yeah, I think Brian had a special way with defense. He learned an awful lot from Belichick, his assistants there. Then again, here we go. It'll be, now you're running the whole thing, and Brian's not there to say stop blitzing or blitz or whatever Brian said to move that defense along. So, yeah, I think there's a learning curve there. So learning curve for the head coach, learning curve for the defense, pressure on the quarterback. I'd like to see him get to 10 or 11 wins. I'd love to see him in the playoffs. But a lot of people are saying the same old thing I hear almost every third year in Miami. Oh, we're better than New England now. Just be careful saying those kind of things. It's Belichick. And he will not. Here's an interesting thing. Tyreek Hill against the AFC East. I took a hard look at that yesterday. So against New England, he's done quite well, as a matter of fact. 3-2 record was his team. That has nothing to do with him. 37 targets, 25 receptions, 5 touchdowns, 17, almost 18 yards a catch. So he's had success. Where he hasn't had success is against Buffalo. Same 5 games, now 51 targets, more 1 touchdown pass. And his yards per catch drops off to 12. 51 targets, 1 touchdown. Buffalo and that Sean McDermott, they know how to play him.
Interesting numbers. I sensed he was a pretty big weapon in that playoff game, but those are very interesting numbers, and it's part of the reason that we have Pat Kirwan from NFL Radio on moving the chains.
All right.
Let me ask you one question before you go any further. All the passes that Mahomes connected to Tyreek on the scramble, you expect Tua to scramble at all?
No. All the broken play stuff is gone. Absolutely. That stuff is gone.
That's dangerous.
All right. What's the latest you hear about Baker? What's it going to take? Is it going to be a trade? Is he going to get cut? Someone's going to have to eat a lot of salary. There's been talk of Tampa. Just what's the latest of you hearing where Mayfield ends up?
All I've heard is from when I reported Tuesday and had it reconfirmed during the week that no one is going to get or take him without the Browns paying half of it. And who cares about money at this point, I suppose. I talked to Schefter yesterday. He does not see a landing spot yet. And I know he's all over this one because he'd like to be first on where he's going. In the meantime, our friend Deshaun Watson might get suspended for a year. Maybe Baker plays for the Cleveland Browns.
Wow.
So San Francisco's holding on to Garoppolo because they don't know if the kid that they gave up the world for can play yet. And Cleveland wants to get rid of Baker, might not be able to, but may need to hold on to him because the guy that they gave up the world for may not be able to play.
Well, why would you cut him to pay $18.8 million if Deshaun isn't available? No, so far, and I love when I get Schefter on these things. The Schefter, and I'll see Adam this Sunday, which will be great when I call you Tuesday morning because I will have been at the owners' meetings for 3 days. And sometimes the owners' meeting is a really good place for a deal. A lot of people around, the agents are in the hotel, the general managers are there. Maybe they can get something done. I don't think it's Seattle. He doesn't have a no trade clause, but what he can do is say, I'm not negotiating with Cleveland. If they come and ask me to do a redo so they can pay $9, I just think I'll sit here and make you pay me the $18.8. He can be a little stubborn now. I think we all know that about him.
Well, and it'll be clearly he'll want out of Cleveland, so he's not going to play ball with the Browns to stay in Cleveland, but he may play ball.
Not, but he may not want to go to Houston.
That's true. That is true. He's Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio, moving the chains weekday afternoons with his co-host Jim Miller. Pat joins us courtesy of Pinchers from Tampa to Key West and a dozen locations in between Pinchers because you can't fake fresh. When we come back with more with Pat Kirwan, we'll talk about the rest of the league. We may dive into those wide receiver numbers and also get into the very interesting dilemma concerning Deshaun Watson. All of that and more with Pat Kirwan next here on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, the Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with the Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Pat, I'm trying to get our golf tournament done, but your pro wants too much money. I'm trying to beat Danny up on price right now.
Well, I'll go and put a word in for you when I see him tomorrow morning.
Well, I said him the last one. I said, you're going to get $10,000 worth of advertising, and we're giving money to charity. Sharpen your pencil. Not those exact words,
but representing someone who's being a dope about it.
Well, I look at. Everybody wants to get their money. That's only fair.
Danny's pretty reasonable. I'm sure there's.
It's a GM. He I like Danny. I think Danny's a good guy.
I like Danny. I just don't know about some of the guys above him.
Well, that's
disappointing.
Yeah, that's what happens when you now that you got that Troon in there. So.
Yeah. Well, I'll say something to him. See, I'll find out who's the stumbling block.
I think it's the G. From what he said, it's the GM.
He's an asshole.
I think every club GM is. I think that's the personality of that job. They're all the same guy, Pat.
They always are, and they're like the guys who work for the NCAA.
Yep.
Lousy coaches that really should be in the IRS.
So owners meetings next week?
Sunday.
Sunday you head over?
Yeah, we're going over on Sunday.
Where are they, at the Breakers?
Yeah, we're live show on Monday and Tuesday.
Is the bar at the Breakers still there with the fish tank?
I don't know. We haven't been there in 2 or 3 years. I can't remember. I will definitely tell you when I maybe I'll even call you Sunday night around midnight.
That's perfect. My buddy that lives over there is a member there, so I go over and work out with him when I stay with him, and it cracks me up because you work out and you're just looking over the Atlantic. It's right above the workout things like just, it's something.
Beautiful place.
It really is.
The rooms have gone out of control, though. I think the rooms are I don't know, to this. Usually there's like not a discount so much, but kind of corporate rate for the owners' meetings. But I think the rooms were like $1,500 each.
That sounds about right.
Mm-hmm. I remember, though, the last time we were there, the room was $750.
Last time I was there is now like 2 years. I didn't stay there, obviously, but I went there for lunch with my buddy. And what baffled me, Pat, is that I know what they're getting for the rooms. They've got 4 pools there. They got all these restaurants, and there were people on top of people on top of people. Every one of those, cabanas by the pools rented, whatever they're getting per day for that. I mean, that's insane wealth over there.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of it's South American whenever I'm there.
It's very international.
Brazilian.
There's no doubt.
How's Miami doing with spring break? Oh, man. Did you see this?
Oh, my goodness.
What a disgrace.
Pat, I'm staying far away from Miami.
Good idea.
As far away as I possibly can. They stopped selling alcohol past 6 p.m.
They're not selling alcohol. They had a midnight curfew. Then I heard they were moving the curfew to 8 o'clock tonight, which means don't go out.
This is every year. Every single year. Pat, in Miami, we tell tourists that Miami Beach is like the Times Square of Miami Beach or of Miami.
Yeah, it is. My
None,
brother used to love driving over there a lot.
oh yeah, I mean,
once in a while I go over, like, hang out with some guys for one night. But for me, it's like going to New Orleans one night and I'm ready to leave.
Right.
First night's a blast. The second night's brutal.
Oh, the sunrises in Miami Beach are beautiful, and
They are. It's nice there.
driving in the morning, getting breakfast, it's really nice.
Yeah.
And then the crazies come.
You sound like an advertisement for it right now.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, I tell people all
His
the time.
his Miami Hurricane sweatshirt on. He's probably got a Dolphins underwear or something, Pat. It's all Miami all the time.
Yeah, do me a favor when you're over there. Would you tell me when you see Tyreek going in for breakfast right after he stayed out all night?
Here we go. Coming back.
Yep.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
Welcome back, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network. Our remaining moments with Pat Kirwan from Moving the Chains, weekday afternoons on NFL Radio. Pat's weekly appearances brought to you by Pinchers from Tampa to Key West and many points in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh.
Pat, you alluded to Deshaun Watson being suspended the whole year, perhaps. There's not a lot of precedent for that. He's not been arrested. He's going to face the media today, though. I think this is going to be as uncomfortable. How much more uncomfortable is going to get in Cleveland from today to camp? Or is today going to be the worst day in your estimation?
Well, I said this to you guys on Tuesday, and it continues. We get a lot of feedback from special interest groups, if you will. A lot of women call our show now infuriated that he's there. A lot of money is pouring into Cleveland to women's shelters and everything else. And they're organizing, it appears to me, that they're organizing to be protesting all year long. I don't know if they can sustain that, but I think there's going to be an organized effort that might put the Michael Vick dog one to shame. And the seriousness and on the road, which we talked about on Tuesday. So it seems to me like there's a pushback. And as I said the other day, and it's still true every day on the radio, maybe it's the guys that just like calling our show, but man, is it unbelievable how many people did not want this to happen in Cleveland that are Browns fans. They're complaining more than they're cheering about getting Deshaun Watson.
And that likely will happen until they start winning, and then we'll see how they react from that point forward. Right.
The medicine of choice.
Right. But, Pat, the suspension part, this is interesting for Goodell. First off, now that 2 grand juries have not indicted him and no charges criminally will be filed, I mean, the NFL's had enough time. Don't they have to render their verdict on Deshaun Watson, you would think, between now and training camp? I mean, it's time for the NFL to finally be the NFL in this situation, isn't it?
Yeah, but between now and training camp is a lot of time. I think they're still trying to take the temperature of the country. Look, we all know how the NFL operates. They have a global view of things, and how much is this going to affect our game? How much are people going to react to this in a negative sense? They've weathered so many big storms, Kaepernick, kneeling, you name it. There's been a bunch of them. And the game continues to grow. But in the moment, they are very serious about the public image. You know that, guys. So we'll see what happens with this. I think they're waiting to see what is the level of pushback, what is the level of protest, how much pressure, which we'll never know, but I'm going to try to dig it out of someone, are they getting at the league office on a daily basis from people, from groups? Those are the things that they respond to. And I'm sure there's going to be. Now, we all know about Roethlisberger getting 6 games reduced to 4. We've already talked about that on this show. This has 24 names involved with it. So I think it's got a chance to be a bigger problem for them to deal with. They didn't have to do anything up to date because Houston was paying him and he was sitting home and he was quiet. But now that he's going to be playing, and that contract does sound to me like Cleveland's anticipating this problem. Contracts never lie. You know, when you see what people really pay someone, then you know how much they really care about them, what they really think they have to do. So we'll see. But I don't think you can stick your head in the sand if you're the Browns and say, oh, it's going to be okay. We're going to be fine. He's going to play all 17 this year. I don't think they are even thinking that way.
What do you think? Kansas City obviously dealt Hill. We talked about that, but they've got Valdez-Scantling. They got Juju. How different is this team? You talked about that, Tua can't run around like Patrick Mahomes. Well, with the players they have, maybe it's not a run-around offense. Just how different is Kansas City? How close they are to being – are they still a top team in your estimation with how good that division's gotten? How do you assess Kansas City right now?
Yeah, well, first thing was the ripple effect of the two big mega deals for receivers. Now, Scantling gets 3 years, $30 million. He's been a part-time player for one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play. They get Juju for $3 million, and the other guy's $30 million for 3. So it almost makes no sense. I think I know enough about Juju. He's not going to be real happy with this. Number one, they're not going to be the same team. To me, Tyreek Hill was the greatest vertical threat in the NFL, and as sudden off a slant route as anybody, and in tune with his quarterback. So I wouldn't want to sit here and make believe the production's going to be as good. It'd be nice to think that Mahomes isn't going to be a gunslinger, but he is a gunslinger. Brett Favre never changed. He stayed what he was his whole career. I suspect Mahomes will too, and I hope these guys tune into him. The amount of early pressure on Kelsey should be fascinating to watch. They used to love doubling him in the red zone. They might be trying to take him away the whole game and say, try to beat us with Juju. We'll find out if you can.
If you don't think the Hills acquisition is going to necessarily take the Dolphins to a higher level, I do think losing that dynamic, though, does bring the Chiefs back down to the rest of the division that they've won 6 years in a row. I don't think there's much separating the Chiefs from the other three teams in that division. Am I wrong?
Oh, no. I agree with you. I mean, it's been the war zone in the AFC West. Everybody's getting all the artillery they need, and then they nicely say goodbye to Tyreek. Believe me, the Raiders, the Broncos, Chargers, they're all tickled to death that he's gone. They know what his problems are, and they're unique to him that other receivers don't present. Yeah, they're happy about that. I do think so. We've run that, I ask it every day. Okay, well, rank the AFC West for me. And slowly but surely, the Kansas City Chiefs have fallen out of first place. It's fun, though, to hear the fans. Almost always they have the Raiders in fourth, except if a Raider fan calls in. But it's always about Denver versus the Chargers for the top spot. That's really the way it's been going in the last couple of days. That doesn't make any of us right or those callers right, but they are perceiving it as you are, David, that they have come back to earth a little bit with what they have to do.
Well, Pat, we almost threw it up as a poll question today. Which AFC division winner from last year doesn't make the playoffs? If you were to put your money on out of Tennessee, Cincinnati, the Bills, and the Chiefs, which one would you say is most likely to not make the playoffs this year?
I think Cincinnati will be in good shape. They went out and did the first thing they had to do, get the protection set up. So I think they'll be fine as long as Burrow's healthy. Maybe Tennessee. A lot of people are starting to think the Colts are going to win the division, and everyone likes to get excited. I mean, March is a great time to be undefeated. It's wonderful.
You sell a lot of tickets undefeated in March.
You sure do, man. Luxury boxes are going for a better price.
Yep.
Season ticket holders are renewing in droves. That's a good question, really. But if you said they wouldn't win the division, I think I'd pick one. But if you said not make the playoffs, is what you said, Mark, that was a little tougher. I think the teams that won last year are going to be good enough to be wild cards with 7 teams going in.
He's Pat Kirwan. You can listen to him weekday afternoons 3 to 7. Moving the Chains is the show on NFL Radio. He co-hosts it with Jim Miller. He's kind enough to join us twice a week during the season and then once a week during the offseason, which gets shorter by the year. Pat's weekly appearances on the show brought to you courtesy of Pinchers. From Tampa to Key West and a dozen locations in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. Enjoy the owners' meetings. We'll talk to you Tuesday. Have a great weekend.
I will be glad to talk to you guys on Tuesday. If something goes crazy on Monday, I'll call you and tell you what I heard. So in the meantime, enjoy your weekend, folks.
Pat Kirwan here on Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening. The Florida Sports Network.
Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, the Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with the Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
You need to walk around a little bit, or is the dancing enough?
So,
Got to figure something out here.
what's that?
I said I have to figure something out here.
Figure it out.
No, that's what we were talking about.
Okay.
Well, all four teams in the AFC who won the division in 2020 made the playoffs in 2021.
Yep.
Okay.
In the NFC,
One,
Commanders
two,
didn't.
Three of the four didn't.
Seattle didn't. Did the Saints?
Nope. Saints were missed out. Remember, they were
That's
9-8. San Francisco and Philly made it.
Mark, what's the best round of golf you ever shot?
Even par.
You shot par? Stud.
I think that's best score I ever had. My best round was a 74 at Wildcat. I thought I played tougher tees when I shot even par at a course in South Carolina. I used to be able to play. I can't anymore. I suck. at that. I knew it was coming, David. They've added about 10 more free things because I've not renewed my Sirius subscription yet.
Okay.
It ends at, the ends at the end of the month with the new car.
Right.
So now I've not only got the $5 a month, but then I got the premium for free too. And
are you talking Old Corkscrew, the golf course? God, I hate it.
it's a joke. I'd never do anything there. It's the worst golf course down here. I hate that place. Hate it. I think it's as unfair of a golf course as there is down here. It's pretty funny, Paul. That's actually funny. That's a Trump joke that's funny. Like it was all USFL, Paul, USFL will Trump you. That's funny. Funny. Okay. I prefer corkscrew pasta and macaroni and cheese, if that's what you were wondering. I am driving so fast to the mobile gas station after this show.
Oh, the one with the Mexican burrito?
No, the one with the Cuban food.
Oh, the Cuban food. That's Shell. That's a Shell.
It was a mobile. When I used to drink outside of it before the arena had a bar, it was a Shell. It was a mobile.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. Sweet 16 continues tonight. East and Midwest regionals. Early games. Cinderella. St. Peter's taking on Purdue in a 3:15 matchup. Boilermakers a 12.5-point favorite. You'll lay the points, right?
I will lay the points.
I will take the points. The other game on early, Providence, Kansas. Regular season Big East champion, regular season Big 12 champion. 1 against a 4. Jayhawks a 7.5-point favorite.
I'll take the points.
I will take the points as well. Late games, you got the Blue Bloods, Carolina and UCLA. I think we differ on this one. UCLA a 2-point favorite.
It's a stupid idea. I just hate North Carolina as much as I almost hate Duke. I have been wrong every time that I've bet a North Carolina game this year, but I'm going to take UCLA.
I'm going to take Carolina, although I do think UCLA has a coaching advantage. And the late game, the Miami Hurricanes with a chance to make program history tonight. As a 10 seed, they're facing 11-seeded Iowa State, which is a remarkable story. We talked about it earlier in the week. They won two more games than you did last year. And I don't mean you, Mark. I mean everyone listening. How many college basketball games did you all win last year? 0. Iowa State won 2, and they played nearly 30 of them. They won 2. They went 0 for the Big 12. Here they are in the Sweet 16. Miami, a 2.5-point favorite. Miami has never, ever been to the Elite Eight. This is their 4th shot at it in a Sweet 16, 3rd under Laranega.
His teams do not turn the ball over. They are very good with the basketball. Iowa State's been good with the basketball thus far, but they turn it over a lot. And the Miami defense, who does a pretty good job of getting steals and creating turnovers, can they do that tonight against Iowa State?
And we both like the Canes, and we'd lay the 2.5.
I would, yes.
For what it is worth. So that's the college hoops tonight. The East Regional, St. Peter's, Purdue, Carolina, UCLA. Those games are on CBS. The Midwest Regional in Chicago, Providence, Kansas, Iowa State, Miami. Those games on TBS. Right around 10 o'clock is when the Miami game is scheduled to tip. If we could go back to the story we were just talking about Kirwan about, which is Deshaun Watson and a possible suspension. Watson to meet with the media today in Cleveland. I mean, think about this. We have not heard from Deshaun Watson in a year.
He made a brief couple of statements after the grand jury did not indict him in Houston last week.
But that's through his attorney, though, right? Or
No, he spoke.
He did?
He spoke, but he didn't answer any questions.
Gotcha.
You know, he basically had a prepared statement. His attorneys had statements. He, thanked his team and talked about moving forward and things of that nature. This is the first time he will have to answer questions, if he will answer questions.
Well, if you're the Browns, you're like, listen, you're answering questions. We got to get as much of this done now. We got to get this, face the music. We all know we're going to face it as soon as possible. And then you got rest of free agency. We got the draft. All right. The excitement of the new season, blah, blah, blah.
They're trying the Friday news dump as best they can. I mean, think about it. Tyreek Hill was traded. He's already done a press conference. The trade for Watson happened a week ago. He's yet to speak to anybody. And they're doing it on a Friday, late morning, early afternoon. This is every effort to try to make a Friday news dump by the Cleveland Browns.
Sure. Get it out of the way, but get it done. Here's my question to you. Do you think the Robert Kraft and Deshaun Watson incidents are related? And I ask that for the obvious. And if it's not obvious, I'll quickly explain. Robert Kraft, all right, got caught at a rub and tug the morning of the Super Bowl. All right, charges went away. Was not suspended, was not fined. Nothing happened to Robert Kraft. Now, Deshaun Watson situation, allegations, far more of them, far more serious. But if we're going to lay all the cards on the table here, owner versus player, old white owner, young black player. I mean, let's put all the cards on the table here. Every dynamic that could be at work, because whatever the NFL does or doesn't do, all of this is going to come out.
David, Robert Kraft went to a massage place where it was obvious you could ask for extras and get them.
Correct.
Deshaun Watson got a massage in which he was asking for extras that weren't supposedly there for the taking.
Correct.
Over and over and over again. I don't think the two are as close as you do.
No. I just asked. I asked you.
I don't.
What I'm asking you is if you're the NFL.
No, I don't think they're in the same ballpark.
I don't either. But you know, and I'm not just talking about fans, if he gets quite the suspension that they're going to lose their mind and make the case, but there are going to be others that are going to make the case and go, boy, this is an interesting justice. All right. This guy skates. And you could make the argument, by the way, an owner should be held to a far higher standard than a player. Far higher standard. You could make that argument.
You could. The league's never really done that based on what some of the actions of the owners have been, and they're allowed to keep teams.
I don't disagree.
And the NFL won't, because the owners do own the league after all.
Right. And he's one of the two most powerful.
And this league has what will be fascinating. Let me rephrase that. What will be fascinating, David, you're right. I'm wondering what the suspension will be for those type of articles. To me, it would have to be in the 6-game range. If it's 2 to 4 games, I don't think you'll see but 1 or 2 penned articles along the lines of what you're talking about. They start going 6 to 8, then these type of things will come out.
Oh, I think if they only go 2 to 4, there will be mass outrage. mass outrage that he only got 2 to 4. I think once you start getting in the 8+ range, you're going to get both columns, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Both sides of the argument who are honked off.
And I guess what I'm saying is that if it's 2 to 4, there will be no correlation between the Kraft non-suspension and Deshaun. When you get to 6 or more games, I think people will pen those articles, David.
Now, I'll preface this by saying we could be wrong, but we've tried to spend a little bit of time figuring out, has a player who was not charged with a crime been suspended for more than 6 games by the NFL? Now, you could argue Colin Kaepernick's been blackballed for 5 years. That's a joke. All right. But has a player, Ben Roethlisberger, infamously not charged in the Georgia incident, suspended for 6, upon appeal reduced to 4. There have been many for the last year that have said, hey, if he's not charged, this is the kind of justice the NFL is going to hand down. 6 with a chance that it gets knocked down to 4. I mean, Randy Gregory was charged. Ray Rice got charged. Now, remember, the original was 2.
2 games.
But then the video came out. Right. So
Hardy got,
I think 10.
right, but was charged.
Oh, yeah. Felonies.
Right.
Right. Yeah, now they went away,
but
because
that's not really relevant to what we're saying right now.
Right. And for those that we're talking about, Roger Goodell, commissioner, 2020's NFL, or put it this way, 21st century NFL. We're not talking about being suspended for a year for gambling. That, by the way, is on the books. All right. That's, at Horning, Karras, the precedent was set. Goodell's just following precedent. Okay. And that's why we bring up Goodell's precedent seems to be 6, if not charged, is as high as he'll go. He obviously can go as high as he wants.
Correct.
Or as low as he wants.
And the other side of this is, if he does go more than 6 games, it'll be one quarterback without a charge that was white that got 6, and one quarterback who was black who gets more. And these things will come up if it happens.
Sure it will. Sure it will. I mean, no matter where you are on Deshaun Watson, what it is you think he did or did not do, the Browns acquiring him or what have you. I mean, for as much as we go after Goodell, and he gives us plenty of material to go after him for, what would you do in this situation? I don't just mean you, Mark.
No,
everybody
David,
listen, put yourself, now granted, he's making $60 million. So, I'm not going to feel compassion for him, but this is a hell of a quandary. I could argue this could be the most difficult decision he ever makes as commissioner.
And the things surrounding it make it even more difficult, because the new contract that Deshaun got just looks as if, hey, you can be as bad a person as you want, but if you play quarterback and you're good, you're going to get paid. And the suspension that Goodell gives or doesn't give is already starting to take heat. I mean, was it Musnick from the New York Post?
Well, he hates everyone and everything.
I got you, but it's New York media already piling on both commissioners for different sides. I mean, they're already starting to pile on Goodell for Deshaun Watson before anything has been decided.
Right.
So whatever the decision is, there's going to be piling on in one way, shape, or form.
Right.
And you're right. He hates everything and everybody. I get it. But we're nowhere close to hearing what a suspension is, and we're already hearing what a terrible commissioner he is for allowing him to sign a contract.
Those pointing out that, Brady got 4 for Deflategate. And the NFL will never say it publicly, but privately, that's one that they wish they had over. It is. That's one that they wish they had over. They actually think they came down way too hard on Kraft, Brady, and the Patriots.
That's why Kraft didn't get in trouble for the rub and tug.
I think so. I think it played into it.
They owed him one.
Yeah.
The look wasn't all that great, but they owed him one.
The other interesting factor is, usually commissioners in a situation like this, Mark, will reach out to other owners. And there are some owners they're closer with than others. Now, remember, if you're an owner, this could happen to one of your players someday. So it can't be that cavalier. Could be you down the road. And see, with none of the owners wanted anything to happen to Kraft.
No.
None. Right, because they could screw up and they don't want anything to happen to them. I'm very interested in the feedback he's going to get when he picks up the phone. And probably the first two calls he usually makes are to Jera and Kraft. And curious what it is. Like, hey, what do you think we should do here?
In those two owners, we got one guy who was at a rub and tug, the other one who right now we're trying to figure out if he's got an illegitimate daughter who's going after him at the moment. These are not the two guys I would be consulting about morality.
But I'm telling you, it's two of his first five on the Rolodex.
Yeah, and the first two might just say, can we put him in our foursome to play golf?
I think he gets 8, by the way. That's my prediction.
Reduced to 6?
Reduced to 8. I don't think he gives an inch. I think he gets 8 when it's all said and done.
And I think it's 6 that'll go to 4.
And if I'm Goodell, I don't make the decision before the draft. And then like a week or two later, we're releasing our schedule. So I think I'm going to do this in June.
I might bury it between the draft and the schedule so it goes away.
Interesting. I may do it during the summer when just most of the country's on vacation, not really paying attention. Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for listening. Bonus hours next. David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove, with a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So there was a story 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, that it was all set when last season ended. The reason why Brady retired so quickly was he was going to the Dolphins, a la Derek Jeter, to the Marlins. And he was going to be president of the Dolphins. And Sean Payton was going to come as coach. They were going to make the trade. And it was a done deal. It was happening. And then Flores got fired and sued. And that once he sued, that the deal went away. So that's why there's all this talk about Brady and the Dolphins. Brady, now that he's back, is not going to go to Miami this season. Three Big 12 teams in the Elite Eight. How's that possible? Am I missing something?
Huh?
Kansas, Iowa State. Who's the other one? I mean, you got Duke, you got Arkansas, you got Houston. Are you counting Houston? They're not in the Big 12.
Oh, well. Texas Tech lost, so I don't know what.
Yeah.
And Arkansas is not in the Big 8 anymore, or the Southwest Conference.
Somebody sent a funny tweet last night.
Southwest Conference is doing pretty well.
Well, because Houston and Arkansas had won and Texas Tech was winning, and they said, if Texas Tech wins, can we say that the Southwest Conference is the best conference in the country this year?
Pretty funny.
Yeah, that was the tweet. It's one alleged rape versus 22 alleged sexual assaults. That's why I think he goes more, but
Ten seconds.
That thing's way ahead today.
yeah, it's like 25 seconds ahead because we come back at 01.
listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour on a Friday. Hope you've had a great week. And thanks for spending some time with us near the end of it. Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. Final thoughts, all coming up in roughly 35 minutes time. We had Pat Kirwan on an hour ago. And Mark, you asked him interesting question.
Well, just if you were to take one AFC division champ and say they don't make the playoffs, which one?
The playoffs, not that they don't repeat as division champions.
Right.
So we're talking about Buffalo, Tennessee, Cincinnati, and Kansas City.
For the record, from 2 years ago, all division winners in the AFC would go on to make the postseason. They wouldn't all win the division. 3 of the 4 would. The Steelers would not win the division, but they would make the playoffs.
So Buffalo, Tennessee,
correct,
and Kansas City repeated.
Right.
And then the Steelers made it. They went from division champs to the wild card.
Now, in the NFC, 3 of the 4 didn't make the playoffs. Washington was a division winner.
In 2020.
Right. The Seahawks were the division winner. And the Saints were the division winner.
Saints had a winning record, but lost out in a tiebreaker.
Right. But 5 of the 8 division winners would qualify for the playoffs the following year.
And 4 of the 8 would repeat as division champs because the Packers did the last couple of years.
So if we were just to go with that method in the AFC, 1 of the 4 won't win the division. Bills, Chiefs, Bengals, and Titans.
Yeah, I'll go Chiefs. They've won it 6 years in a row. And I don't think it sounds good on paper. Juju and Marquez Valdez-Scantling. That's who they've replaced Tyreek Hill with. Neither of them are a 1. Valdez-Scantling caught 25 passes last year. Missed a little bit of time with injuries. He does have an impressive yards per catch. I mean, every season he's been in the league, it's been over 15 yards a catch. He's not a 1. I mean, hell, Aaron didn't even really treat him as a 2, to be honest. I mean, his confidence in him came and went the last 3 years.
Juju's closer to a 1 than Valdez-Scantling, and I don't think he's a 1 either.
I agree with that. Now, they can have Kelsey be their 1, and Juju be their 2, and Valdez-Scantling be their 3, in essence, in their passing game. And, you know, that's pretty good. I mean, that's pretty good. Travis Kelce better stay healthy. Let me tell you.
No doubt.
If you're Kansas City, you done at the wide receiver position? Odell, Jarvis, they're out there. You got a little bit of money. You freed up some money here. You save money at safety, letting Matthew go. And, I mean, you went out and signed somebody, but for less than what you would have had to play Matthew.
And they just simply think they'll outscore everybody. That's Andy's MO.
Andy might want to run the ball this year a little bit.
When has Andy ever run the damn ball?
I didn't say he would. I said he might want to.
I mean, if there's a guy whose middle name is Don't Run the Damn Ball, you know, if your middle name is Run the Damn Ball Moulton, Andy is Don't Run the Damn Ball Reed.
Throw the ball.
Right.
Reed. Right.
Throw it on 3rd and 1.
2nd and 2 for that matter. So, I do. I think he should use his running backs more, whether running or receiving. I also think that without Tyreek Hill, that the street ball that Mahomes and the Chiefs have been able to get away with at times in the last 4 years, that largely goes away. And I understand both these guys have speed. Well, I mean, they don't have Tyreek Hill speed, though.
Nobody does.
But
there aren't,
Right. But I just think, there were times where Mahomes and the Chiefs were kind of almost playing Nerf ball in the parking lot, run to the blue car, make a left. I'll just run around, buy some time, and when I start doing that, then, you reverse course and do this. I think that a lot of that goes away. It's a lot more Mahomes from the pocket now. More of a West Coast offense. Not to say he can't play it. I mean, he's arguably the best quarterback in the league. But I think they're very different without Tyreek Hill.
I agree. And when I'm voting on a team to not win the division and not make the playoffs, well, first off, just on the not win the division, I could vote for two. I could see Cincinnati not winning the division next year. I could see Kansas City not winning the division. Buffalo, I would be stunned if they don't win the division.
Right.
And I still would bet on Tennessee over Indianapolis. I would. Till proven otherwise, I'm going to take the Titans right now, David.
In fact, bigger favorite, Green Bay in the north or Buffalo in the east?
Damn, what a great question. I would say Green Bay close because I think far less of the Bears and Lions collectively than I do of whether it's Jets, Patriots, or Jets, Dolphins, or however you want to slice up the East. So I would give the edge to the Packers. But, the other side of this, David, just looking at division winners, if you were to ask the same question about the NFC right now, based on what we just talked about, well, the Packers are going to win the North. The Bucks are going to win the South.
Well, they better.
Now, you can bet on a lot of different teams in the West, not name the Rams.
Sure.
But they're still going to be the overwhelming favorite. And who's really going to overtake the Cowboys in the East?
Could be Philadelphia.
Could be.
It really could be, though. I mean, they had a winning season last year.
They did.
Hurts' first full year as a starter. I think they've had a quietly solid offseason. They got a lot of picks coming up in the draft, and they still have money that they can spend. They can go and make a couple of nice bargain signings here if they want to. 3 first-round picks. They finished, I believe, only a game behind the Cowboys in the standings. Didn't Dallas?
3 games behind the Cowboys.
They went 9-8. Cowboys went 12-5?
Yes.
Oh, wow. My bad.
Just a small.
Yeah, well, no, it's a bit of a gap, to say the least.
I mean, put it this way. There were 2 teams closer to the Rams than the Eagles were closer to the Cowboys.
We'll say, though, the Eagles started 2-5. And the Cowboys got off to the great start. What's interesting, though, is that, Dallas, I believe, against playoff teams or teams with a winning record was 6-6. Or less than that, actually, because they went 6-0 in the division, correct?
Right.
So they were 6-5, and then they lost to the Niners in the playoffs. So against teams not in the NFC East, they were 6-6. And the Eagles only beat one team with a winning record all year, and that was the 9-8 Saints at home. So, both Dallas and Philadelphia lived up to how bad the division was.
And we do think Washington's gotten better. I don't know if the Giants have.
Well, it's tough to imagine they've gotten worse.
No, but you could say they stayed the same,
right,
and it would be hard to get a lot of arguments out of a lot of people.
And that ain't going to cut it. And I don't know how much better Washington's gotten, actually.
I mean, put it this way. If I were to put the Giants on the clock for next year, would you argue with me?
Ooh, wow.
I'm not doing that because it's your team, but I mean, we know the state that they're in right now. New coach. They're going to try to get this Daniel Jones thing one more try.
That's not bad. That's not bad. They got to be one of the top 3 choices for that. Tell you what, who's had a bad week? The Jets. I mean, if you're a fan, and quite frankly, if you're Joe Douglas and you're running the show, you're in the AFC. The conference right now is just flat loaded. You got a young quarterback who you hope is on the rise, who hasn't proven anything yet. And every time you go to get a big name free agent, because you are willing to draw the line at a certain point that past Jets general managers have not. I mean, the Jets are one of the top 5 places you went to go get overpaid and sign a big contract in which people go, yeah, this ain't going to work out well. But, I mean, look at the Jets now in the conference and the division that they're in and think to yourself, when are they going to be a playoff contender?
Well, and David, when you were answering that, I was kind of thinking, could you imagine if baseball had to deal with what football has to deal with right now? Could you imagine if New York was that bad in baseball? The epicenter of the sport, basically, where it's all they care about all the time. And the National Football League dwarfs Major League Baseball as far as being the most popular league, with the two New York teams being god awful.
Hey, if it wasn't for Kevin Durant choosing Brooklyn and bringing Kyrie with him, New York basketball would be awful as well, because that has been for 20 years. And New York is a basketball/baseball city. I mean, this whole Giants-Jets thing, it just keeps people somewhat occupied. But it's no better than the third most popular sport in the city. No better. But yeah, it would. Major League Baseball would have.
Right. I mean, could you imagine the problems they would have if the Giants and Jets were the Mets and Yankees?
Well, I believe George Herbert Walker Bush was president the last time the Yankees had a losing season. So baseball hasn't had to worry about this for a long time. And you're right. I don't think they would handle it very well.
No.
Nor would the networks that cover the sport, because then what would they talk about?
But of 8 division winners from a year ago, most of them are going to be, in fact, all of them will be favored to win their division again this year. Every single one of them. And it ain't going to happen.
But in the AFC, it's a far better chance of one of those teams not just not winning the division, but going from not winning the division to not making the playoffs.
With the depth of that division, that is certainly the case. I mean, every year we start talking about the disparity of conferences. I don't know if we've ever seen it this large. Since you and I have worked together, at least heading into a season where you think there's such a difference between one conference and the other.
You got to go back probably to the heyday of the NFC in the 80s. And then for that matter, I mean, the AFC in the 70s. I mean, but you had the Cowboys and the Vikings. You know, you had two teams that were saying, hey, don't forget about us, where you had the Steelers and the Raiders and the Dolphins. But yeah, there's quite the disparity right now. This might be greater than the 80s disparity between the NFC and the AFC, which there was quite a disparity.
Miller and Moulton. Today was a day when the good, the bad, and the ugly and what's on tap. Still all ahead right here on Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yes, he did, Klecko. Saw the picture earlier. It's fantastic. 3 years from now, Adam.
What do you want to do here?
I don't know.
Any good texts?
No.
Okay. I do think this is moderately interesting.
What's that?
Just the whole, we're talking about the dominance of the AFC, yet they didn't win the Super Bowl last year.
Right.
And they didn't win it the year before that.
Right. It doesn't mean they're not that. I mean,
But, you know, that 13-year stretch we're talking about here on Twitch, I mean, not only was the NFC the better conference, they won the Super Bowl.
that is one hell of a streak. Live on SportsCenter at 1.
Oh,
So much for the news dump.
Oh, totally. Absolutely, you're covering that.
That's live on. Woo. Were any of the 22 reports from Clemson?
No.
No.
Good one, Klecko.
God, I miss Westhoff called me yesterday. I got to call him back and hear about the audiobook. He's now doing the audio himself, which I want to listen to the audiobook of him doing it.
Oh, man. He should have had one of us do it. Seriously. Have good voices. We speak for a living. I mean, it is better if the person who wrote it does it, and that's, you know, Mike, very distinctive delivery, but yeah.
I'm going to talk to what's her face, Sheila, that used to work here and start doing dirty books like she does. She reads porn books for audiobooks.
Does she really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Makes good money.
She's got
doing
the
it.
perfect voice for it.
Makes good money doing it.
10 seconds.
That's so great.
I'd love to do it just to have one day have one of your friends call you and go, hey,
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour, Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for being with us here on the Florida Sports Network. Brought to you in part by Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters. If you have a vehicle that requires a filter, Napa has a filter for you. And if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Go to a Napa Auto Parts store or order online. And if you're in the 239, say hi to John, Lisa, Justin, or Kyle. They likely own or are running the Napa Auto Parts that you show up at in Fort Myers, the Cape, San Carlos, North Fort Myers, and Punta Gorda. The Napa Dream Team, open 7 days a week with a large inventory. Tell them Miller and Moulton sent you.
we need a dream team. I mean, they have a dream. We need a dream team.
We need to have enough people to make up a team.
That's my point.
Can I run point guard?
He will be insufferable on our team. You do know that. I mean, if once we put him in the game, he becomes insufferable.
We'll throw him 10 pennies. He'll be lost forever.
You missed us earlier on the show. Felipe went to a vending machine, was 10 cents short, started putting pennies in it.
And was verklempt as to why the vending machine
Right.
was not working.
Hey, guys, do you know vending machines don't take pennies?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, we do.
Yes, we do.
In fact, everybody knows that. Except you, young man. Except you.
David, you're going to the lower block. I'll feed you.
How do you know our dream team's playing basketball? Our dream team could be playing hockey just to keep you on the
Could
bench.
be playing golf.
I'm sorry. The term dream team was created from a basketball team, was it not?
But I was referencing the Napa dream team.
Ah.
I don't even know if our dream team plays sports. Our dream team could just be a collection of producers and radio show hosts.
Well, we are a sports show, so.
Probably should play some sports. Miller Moulton, we were talking about the AFC's dominance, at least on paper, although who won the Super Bowl last year?
Well, that would be the Rams, NFC.
Who won the Super Bowl the year before?
Tom Brady. He encompasses all conferences.
So there was a 13-year time frame from the 84 season through the 96 season where the NFC went 13-0 in Super Bowls. And most of them were not close. And the feeling during most of that time was, yeah, the NFC was the dominant conference. Had some cute teams, some good teams in the AFC. You know, yeah, the Cleveland-Denver thing in the mid-'80s, and then Buffalo came along. That was cute. You know.
But it was Dallas against San Francisco, and the winner was going to win the Super Bowl.
And then Green Bay got involved. And before that, it was usually the Giants and or Washington who would battle the Niners. And the Bears made a couple of NFC championship games in the mid to late 80s. But that 84 through 96 run is actually very similar to, for older baseball fan who remembers when the All-Star game was a big deal, and the National League, I believe, ripped off 12, 13 in a row from the early 70s through the mid-'80s.
Do you know how much that bothered me as a kid?
As a Tigers fan?
But as a Tigers fan and an American League fan
Right.
first, that drove me crazy.
And it's not like the American League didn't have good players.
No, and they couldn't win an All-Star game. And for whatever reason, as a child, that bothered me.
I mean, if you're a goober of a sports fan, you could look up some of the box scores from the All-Star games, especially in the early to mid-'70s. I mean, Seaver and Catfish, I think, pitched against one another in an All-Star game, and each went 7 or more innings.
It was not an exhibition.
No.
That's the part of it. Like, you looked forward to it. One, there wasn't sports on TV the way there are now.
And you didn't have interleague play.
And you didn't see all of these players.
No,
hardly ever.
No,
my
the Saturday
recognition
game
of
of the
these guys,
week.
but my recognition was my baseball cards. This was the time that I could take the guys that I had cards of for the most part and see them.
I would watch Yankee games on Channel 11 in New York in Fred Lynn when he went to the Angels, and, was going to watch the game to see all these players. So the All-Star game's not the first time I'm seeing them this year. But
That 70 Sports had a tweet of an All-Star ballot, and it said, "We took this blankety blanking blank really seriously." And I just got the biggest grin on my face because it was a thing I did with my mom and dad every year. Would go to a Tigers game, and usually it would be pretty much after school ended, before the All-Star break. And I mean, David, I know I'm guessing you went to a Mets or a Yankees game when you filled out 60, 70 All-Star ballots, as many as you could over the course of the game.
see, and you know me, this is straight from the Mike and Mike, sheet of integrity. I would fill out one All-Star ballot.
Oh,
And then I would hear all these stories about in Cincinnati where people would be, and they would be there with their pencils, and they would just be all punching out. They'd 60 of them in a row, and they would just punch through all 60,
Yes.
all the Reds players.
that's how you do it. I'd do that for certain positions, and then I would mix up my outfielders. I loved, of all the things that I when you're young and you're innocent, you don't know any better, you actually think you're making a difference with that.
Mark, maybe it was because when I was growing up, the Mets didn't have any All-Stars.
Neither did the Tigers, David.
I mean, that's true, though.
Neither did the
That's
Tigers.
true. I mean, the Mets would get the third string catcher, John Stearns, because, well, they got to have somebody. They'd get the reserve outfielder who will come in the ninth inning as a defensive replacement, Lee Mazzilli. That Joel Youngblood, I think, got an infield spot one year, came in the ninth inning to play third. I mean, those were the guys. So your team was bad back in the day when your player at a certain position was not on the card.
On the ballot, right.
Because not everybody was on the ballot.
It was typically about eight
out of like
per position.
13 or 14 at the time. Yeah. And that's when you knew, wow, we really suck.
We are not good. Tom Verizon is not making the shortstop list.
When did Major League Baseball introduce the thing where at least one team has to have
Always.
this one?
Yeah,
It's always been a thing.
Always been a thing.
And
I like that.
And I will say, as a kid, it worked on the both of us. Now, as adults and sports talk show hosts, we think it's ridiculous. You should just have, but hey.
But the dynamic has changed. We see more teams. We're more in tune with the league. We didn't have that before.
The other thing is the roster size now is far bigger than it was. So the whole, leaving guys out because every team had to have one was a bigger deal actually then, because there were much fewer reserve spots available. I know more teams now.
Fewer teams too. So,
but Miller and Moulton.
That's all. I liked that vote. Vote meant a lot to me, David.
Niners, Bears, Giants, Washington, Niners. I mean, going through this run here, Giants, Washington, Dallas, Niners, Dallas, Green Bay. 13 straight Super Bowls there, 84 through 96 that the NFC won. Broke the hearts of Browns, Broncos, although Browns never made it.
Not Brown. The Browns' hearts were broken before
Denver,
that.
Right. But, think of the Denver
and Buffalo.
In between the two of them, they lost 7 of those 13 Super Bowls. Ouch. Miller and Moulton. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when, and some final thoughts as we wrap up not just our show, but our week.
Miss any of the show? Go to floridasportsnetwork.com. You can download it, and you can do the same thing at any of the usual podcast locations. Simply download Miller and Moulton. Any part that you missed, you can find floridasportsnetwork.com, or for that matter, millerandmoulton.com. We'll wrap it up for a week on the other side. Thanks so much for listening right here. Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Now, I will say this. If Carolina wins tonight, Duke and Carolina have never met in the tournament before, and they'd both be in the Elite Eight, scheduled to meet in the semis.
That would be great to let Carolina take them out twice.
I mean, that's so we got to remember that when we're, wrapping things up here. Go down that road.
Yep.
When we revisit the poll question. Oh,
Who would UNC match up against if they win?
I do too.
Who would UNC match up against if they win?
Swamp Buggy, it works. I'm telling you.
thanks, JS. Did you figure out what we have to do there for that Vern segment? I mean, or you said
same thing, but just for one half and not the other.
I have no idea what you just said.
Okay.
That was not English.
Sorry.
I mean, don't we have to change? Don't I have to change the ending?
I figured it out. Yeah, I fixed it.
You fixed it.
Yeah.
How?
We
wrapped it up by saying when we come back, we'll talk about the Masters.
I just got another Miller Moulton. Right here.
You took a generic outro from somewhere else and
Yes.
attached it to it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tapped it in.
So the whole thing's timed out. It'll run as a segment.
Klecko, I'm a big
Correct.
fan of the Slurpee baseball training cups. I really am. The 16-ounce Slurpee. Loved my Reggie Jackson plastic cup.
That was a thing.
I don't think anything
yeah.
nothing was better than the ice cream and the batting helmet.
I'll fight you to the death on this one. The 16-ounce Slurpee in the plastic collector's all-star baseball cup. Are you kidding me?
I love Slurpees.
And think about it. If you're getting a Slurpee with a pitch, the guy stats on the back. Oh my God.
That's
it was like
awesome.
a baseball card.
Why don't they bring that back?
They cost money.
Because baseball's not cool anymore. Sad. Baseball's awesome. One of my Tar Heel buddies, I think he mentioned something along the lines of Duke and UNC's all-time record with Coach K coaching is 50-49 in favor of Duke.
That's not quite true, because he was like 3 or 4 games better over 500 against Carolina when he went into his finale. So, I mean, it's close, but
Well, they play twice a year or once a year?
Well, they play guaranteed twice a year, but oftentimes they would meet in the ACC tournament also.
UNC obviously won in Duke.
They split this year.
Oh, they split. Okay.
It's 50-47
Oh, 50-47.
is what I'm seeing.
In favor of Duke?
Yes.
But they've never, ever played in the tournament against one another. Ever.
See, I that would be one of the most watched college basketball games of all time.
No.
No.
The sport's not what it was.
No.
Duke
Because
UNC in the Final Four?
the sport is not close to what I need you to open your ears.
I understand that, but
What's the most watched college basketball game of all time?
It's,
No, not you.
It's
I know what the answer is.
Okay.
is it a game involving Christian Laettner?
No.
Fab Five.
No. Magic versus Bird.
Oh,
79.
Okay. They had 3 channels then. You're never going to have the most watched anything. Not to mention, this game's going to be on TBS. Very funny.
The Final Four is on TBS?
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah.
weird.
Oh, wow. Well, I mean,
That's 11 million people right there that aren't watching it.
they're paying the majority of the money. Turner is.
And then the championship game.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Our poll question, now that Duke has made it to the Elite Eight, are you rooting for Coach K to get to the Final Four? Come on, it's just one more game. Why not? Great story. Yeah, I'm in the minority on this one. I don't even know if I'm getting 40%. It's been darn near 2-1 against Coach K and Duke from the get-go. He and they used to be the team that you rooted for in the tournament. When he started that whole 86 through 94 period, when they went to 7 out of 9 Final Fours, Duke was the team that a lot of America was rooting for.
Go slap the floor, why don't you?
And that's what happened by the end of it. All right. Laettner and the boys changed it.
Laettner, Cherokee Parks. There was a bunch of guys that weren't worth liking.
Tell you what, though, Coach K last night, I mean, they did make 9 straight shots down.
Oh,
the
they were
stretch.
great.
I mean, you know,
They were
if you're
terrific.
Texas Tech, you do just tip your cap and you go, hey, man, we put you in the spot to lose. And you said, no, not tonight. Good for you. But, you know, after the game, Coach K saying that his point guard reminded him of Bobby Hurley making all the necessary plays down the stretch. That's as good as it gets in terms of point guard. I mean, I know
Point guards in college.
Yeah. And I know Johnny Dawkins, many people thought was a quote unquote better player, but man, it's, you know, Laettner's the most clutch guy that we've ever seen, but man, Bobby Hurley was a tough out. A tough out.
No, and that was his guy too. So for Coach, I mean, that's
totally
his guy. That's his point guard if you were to ask him.
Well, he's near the end. You know, he's thinking and reflecting a little bit. But along the lines of a poll question before we get to today was the day when. I know you're anti-Duke. I get it. Duke and Carolina have never met in the NCAA tournament before. If Carolina, and you don't think they'll win tonight, I do.
But I've been wrong about Carolina every game so far, so it's pretty safe to say they'll win.
But if Carolina gets through UCLA tonight to play the winner of Purdue-St. Peter's, Duke's already in the Elite Eight. If Carolina's also in the Elite Eight, are you sure you're not going to root for Duke Carolina in the national semis?
This is Notre Dame versus Michigan in football for me, David.
It's a great story, though.
It is a great story.
You're a sports fan. You're in your 50s. You've never seen this before. It's your last chance to see it with a legendary coach. It's not going to be the same if it's Hubert Davis against John Shire.
No, it's not. Not initially. It could be if they're both great for a run, but no, because college basketball will never be what it was at the height of Duke and Carolina. I would love to see it. I would.
So if Carolina
can take care of business tonight, I will be rooting for Duke and North Carolina on Saturday and Sunday.
And then
I don't know what the hell I'll do when they play the game.
Oh, come on. You'll root for Carolina.
That's hard for me to do.
I know it is, but I'm telling you, I think that's who you'll be rooting for. It'll be like when we saw the Notre Dame-Alabama national title game, and you couldn't answer the question which football team you hated more, Notre Dame or Michigan, and we got about 4 plays in the game, and you turned, and out of nowhere, we hadn't brought this up in hours.
No.
And out of nowhere, you turned to me and you said, I hate Notre Dame more. I've decided I hate them more.
You'll get a text at some point on Saturday when I'm in Orlando that weekend that I will let you know who I'm rooting for.
And it'll say either Duke or Carolina.
Yep, I hate them more.
Time now for...
Leave it to the oldest guy in the show, and definitely the oldest soul to live in the past. Here's David Moulton with Today Was the Day When...
I'm rooting for the story. All right. Mark, we're going way back. And when I mean way back, I mean I'm going back 1,991 years. I'm going back to the year 31. Because according to the calendar, that was the first time Easter was ever on the calendar. In the year 31. I don't know what took so long, but I'm just telling you it was the first time that it was put on the calendar.
All right.
Then I'm going to fast forward over 1,900 years. Mark, it was on this day 88 years ago, 1934, that the first Augusta National Invitational Tournament was played. We call it the Masters. Horton Smith won by 1 over Craig Wood. He made a 20-footer for birdie on the 71st hole and then part 18 to win by 1. 5 years later in 1939, the first ever Billboard magazine Hillbilly Music Chart was created.
Wow.
That's right, the Hillbilly Music Chart. We call it now country.
Or hillbilly, whichever one you prefer.
Well, haven't heard it in a while, that's for sure. My grandmother, my dad's mom, did call it hillbilly music. She also called it something else, which I'm not allowed to say on the radio. The second word was kickin'.
Huh.
1947, Holy Cross wins the NCAA basketball championship.
Holy Cross!
Yeah, holy mackerel. 58-47 over Oklahoma. 1954 on this day, From Here to Eternity wins the Oscar for Best Picture. Couple of things going on in 1961 on this day. Cincinnati beat Ohio State in overtime, 70-65 to win the national title. Jerry Lucas for Ohio State, however, named Most Outstanding Player second year in a row. But the third place game, Mark, I'm surprised that the third place game lasted 20 more years because the third place game in 61 went 4 overtimes.
Oh, my goodness.
St. Joe's beat Utah 127-120. Cincinnati and Ohio State must have been delayed. Even though there were very few TV commercials back then, that had to be an hour and a half.
Had to be.
So on this day in 65, Martin Luther King and 25,000 other protesters arrived at the state capitol in Montgomery, Alabama. And why were they protesting? Well, a year later, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the poll tax was unconstitutional. Just one of the beefs that they had, and deservedly so. Mark, couple of events on this day 55 years ago in 1967. First off, Lou Alcindor led UCLA over Dayton by 15, the first of 7 consecutive UCLA national championships from 67 through 73, 7 in a row. And on that same day, Happy Together. You know, Happy Together.
Yeah, the Turtles, right?
There you go. Goes number 1. The Turtles. Well done. 1971 on this day, the Boston Patriots become the New England Patriots. On this day in 72, Bill Walton led UCLA over Florida State for the national championship by 5. Bobby Hull also scored his 600th goal 50 years ago today, the second one to ever do so, Gordie Howe being the first. 1979 on this day, Lanny Watkins won the Players by 5 over Tom Watson. In 1982 on this day, Mark, I don't know if your mom was into the show, Cagney and Lacey premiered on CBS.
Oh, we watched it. I
Thought
watched a lot of Cagney and Lacey.
You did?
Is that a Friday night show?
I thought it was.
That's probably why I watched it, because I
But
was
then
allowed
again,
to stay up later.
Not originally in 82, because remember, you had Dallas, followed by shortly thereafter, didn't they create Knots Landing?
Maybe Cagney and Lacey was a different night.
Or maybe it was on at 8. But this day, 40 years ago. It was on this day in 1995, Mike Tyson was released after serving 3 years in prison for rape. 1996, Braveheart won the Oscar for Best Movie. I've never seen it. I have no interest.
It's good.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oscar worthy?
I don't know.
Okay.
Great cinematography, David.
25 years ago today, the second ever album for the Notorious B.I.G., Life After Death.
16 days after he had passed away.
How about that for foreshadowing? 20 years ago today, The Bachelor debuted, and Western civilization has never been the same.
Nope.
What surprises me about that show is how many men are fans of it.
Yeah, but they love the concept. How could you not? It's one guy who gets to pick out of 20 women and can fool around with all of them before he picks. Really, men should all be watching that show. Why women watch it is a whole nother story.
All right, maybe that's how I should have been looking at it. On this day, Howard Cosell, Jean Potvin, who passed away recently, and Aretha Franklin were all born. Aretha would have been 80 today. Let's see here. Lee Mazzilli, 67 today. Elton John is 75. PGA champion Mark Brooks is 61. Avery Johnson's 57. Tom Glavine's 56. Best high school basketball player I ever covered on a regular basis, Bob Sura, is 49 today. Vladimir Klitschko is fighting for his life on his 46th birthday in the Ukraine. Sarah Jessica Parker's 57. Danica Patrick is 40. Catherine McPhee is 38. Kyle Lowry is 36. And we go old school to end. Gloria Steinem is 88. Bonnie Bedelia, remember Holly McClane from the Die Hard movies?
Oh, okay.
74 today. Paul Michael Glazer, Starsky of Starsky and Hutch, 79.
A couple of quick omissions. The Beatles made their debut on UK television today in 1964. The Who and Cream made their U.S. concert debuts today in 1967. And this band named Guns N' Roses would sign a deal with Geffen Records today in 1986.
I've got one more, and you obviously know where I'm going with this.
Oh, let's see. It's today in Miami.
The Heat,
Today in Miami Heat history.
Oh, it's the last win of the win streak.
Oh,
27,
it had to end.
27 consecutive wins, the second longest winning streak in NBA history. Today, the Heat got their 27th consecutive win, 108-94 against the Magic. Birdman had 3 blocks.
And 2 tattoos.
And a
You've heard folks
partridge in
elsewhere
a
mock
pear tree.
Florida is gonna Florida.
Nice.
Well,
Thank you.
Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
This has already started, but I thought this was a cool thing. At FSW today, they're hosting their annual Give Kids a Smile Day. It started at 8. It goes till 1 p.m. Children ages 3 through 17 will receive free dental services on a first-come, first-served basis. They will get cleanings, x-rays, sealants, and a dental examination at FSW. Thought it was a very nice thing and makes our good today. For the bad, we go to Sacramento, where Cody Setzer and a coworker have cooperated with authorities after they decided it would be fun to take 2 bears from their den and try to raise them themselves. It didn't work out very well.
Because the bears went all bears?
Well, they were cubs. They couldn't take care of them. They had to admit to wildlife that they stole them. So not only did they give the bears back, they got arrested for stealing animals that you're not allowed to steal.
Right.
You're an idiot, Cody. Speaking of idiots, for the ugly, we go to Clearwater, where a man needed some new music equipment. So he broke into the Sam Ash music store in Clearwater. He fell 3 stories down while breaking in. Apparently, it didn't do enough to knock him down. He then took a guitar amplifier, threw it through the glass door so he could leave the building. He thought he was home scot-free. The problem was he left a trail of blood, which connected him to a DNA analysis, and he has now been arrested. That'll leave a mark or 2.
Yes,
and
it
that
will.
is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, March the 25th, 2022.
Well, obviously the headliner, the second half of the Sweet 16, East and Midwest Regionals, St. Peter's, Purdue, Providence, Kansas are the early games. Carolina, UCLA, Iowa State, and the Canes are the late games. The Canes game is on TBS, tip around 10 o'clock. NBA tonight, 7 games. Heat hosting the Knicks. Kyle Lowry's never won on his birthday before. Today's his birthday, so that streak's on the line, Mark. It's a big deal. Hockey, 5 games. The Penguins at the Rangers, probably the headliner. NCAA college hockey tournament continues with 4 more games in their Sweet 16 at noon, 3, 6, and 8 o'clock. If you are interested in watching, I believe ESPNU is your channel of choice. The Michigan Wolverines are ranked 2nd in the country. They're playing at 3. Gophers hosting the defending national champs UMass at 6.
And I know it's a football thing, but there is nothing to me that's cooler in hockey than watching either Notre Dame or Michigan play hockey. Everybody who listens knows my thoughts on both of these schools, but I don't care. The Golden Domers in hockey and those winged helmets looked spectacular on the ice.
Michigan, 2nd-ranked team in the country, play at 3. Golden Domers beat North Dakota in overtime yesterday, so they're a game away from the Frozen Four. It was a good, fun week. Vern Lundquist will join us Monday on a special anniversary. Have a great rest of your Friday and weekend, Miller and Moulton.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove